to do all of the crap. So, Peter, how people call you? Because I have you as a Petey Pete.
Yeah. So it's Peter or Pete. Usually everyone just calls me Pete.
Pete?
Yeah, Pete. So.
Okay, this thing is recording, brother.
All right. Yeah. So.
Let's see what happened.
That's rock and roll.
My brain is into like tired for the week, the full week of vacation, then driving back home 14 hours yesterday. Bad sleeping last night because all the caffeine that I got to drive back home.
Oh yeah.
It was hard to fall asleep. This morning I was like waking up, falling asleep. And then doing that setup, I'm still a little sweaty.
Yeah.
So again, I put more caffeine today. I don't know who's talking. My brain, the caffeine through me, something is going on. But
yeah.
Let's see what happened, brother.
Well, that's what happens. You rock and roll. You need that caffeine because you're doing all that long driving. So, but the whole time it's like you zoned out. You guys came from Myrtle Beach, right?
Myrtle Beach, yes.
Yeah. So did you go the 95 route or that like alternative route that goes down?
No. We pretty much coming back up. Getting out of Myrtle Beach is weird. Mm-hmm. When we went in, we went all the way down until we have to get out of the 95 and get into the 70, and then inside of a little town, another little town, and a smaller town, bunch of small streets, and then you're there.
Yeah.
And coming back up, the GPS took us through, I don't know, the countryside, let's say.
Yeah, I was going to say.
When we finally got 95, we were already in North Carolina.
Yeah.
So the thing coming down was like a kind of L shape, but coming up was like an angle and then 95. So I don't know, it was weird.
Going through that countryside is just, that's why you need the caffeine because you're just.
Yeah, no, man, it's crazy because also it reminds me so much of Venezuela because it's just 2 lanes street, but speed limit is like 55 or 60.
Yeah, and
so
there's a
you're
random.
going, next to the car that's coming.
Yeah, and it's literally just chain after chain after chain, and then a light chain after chain after chain, light chain after chain.
Yeah, and then it's like a lot of those things in the streets, so you have to kind of be focused. It was a little kind of raining a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was easy. It was fun drive. Somebody have to find a way to make the Weather Channel, all those channels responsible for all that shit that they do. So annoying. Like, we went down in 2 cars, right? Mm-hmm. My family's wife and us, right? And coming back up, half of the family came the night before because they were afraid of the storm. So they want to come home and rest before going to work on Monday, but also to don't hit the storm that was coming, right?
Yeah.
So the poor guy has to drive overnight by himself because his wife fell asleep. So we were following the keeping track of the hurricane or whatever to see. So I kind of noticed that leaving South Carolina around 4 in the morning or 5, we can make it all the way to like New Jersey, almost Elizabeth or Newark area without rain, maybe a couple little rain. But then we gotta get at the same time that the hurricane was supposed to get here. So it was like, okay, I gotta take the chance. Either it gets so bad I have to stay in a hotel overnight somewhere that is safe for the family because I'm going to drive through a hurricane. Yeah. Or probably, and most likely, my thoughts is like the Weather Channel is already full of shit again, like all the time.
Exactly.
And it won't be a hurricane so I can make a safe home. But I got to drive during the day to make sure, stay awake and keep it safe for the family, all of that kind of stuff.
And you can see what the hell's going on. You don't want to be driving at night. I've done that twice now. It's not.
It's not good for me. I know a lot of people that prefer that way because they say it's less traffic and all of that, but I don't know, man. I get tired and you know how it is. You start like blinking a little bit when you realize you kind of.
Yeah, exactly. You start you panic. Like, did how fall? Like I drove solo last time. I just down to Nashville, and that's again kind of like yours. It's just farmland, and I left at 2 in the afternoon, and I didn't get home. I actually went to work right from the highway.
You park in front of the.
I literally went right to work. I was in a truck stop for 50 minutes. That was my nap, just outside of Jersey in PA, and I just right through. But again.
You say you drive solo, meaning you were by yourself?
By myself. No, nobody else. You just, that's the worst. And, I try to limit the energy drinks. Like, I'm more of a coffee guy because, like, those things will just get you so ramped up and you go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And it just, the last time I did it with the energy drinks, I'm just like, whoo, you hit that wall, then you need another one, then you need another one, and you need another one.
I like taking some energy drinks now and then, right, for work or stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, more like I'm used to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really need it. But yesterday, I needed it. Like, I went to sleep the night before, like around 12 or something. So I woke up at 4 to drive, and I was fresh until like half an hour into driving. I started feeling like tired. I was like, whoa, why do I feel so tired so sudden?
Yeah.
So I got my first energy drink or whatever, and a cold coffee from a machine because it was the only thing we found in the road, in the area. Let's say I start driving around 5. Like by 8 in the morning, I already have like 2 energy drinks, a cold coffee, and a hot coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was the worst because by noon, I was needing to pee all the time. So I was like, okay, let me park here very quick and go into bathroom, pee, keep driving. Okay, I need to do...
Exactly. It all hits you at once. Once you break that seal, it's all over.
And I was telling the whole family because my car, it was like 8 people in my car, right? So I was telling, listen, you everybody, pee in the house and don't drink too much water because I'm not going to be stopping every minute because you know how it is with so many people. It's like, who want to pee? I want to pee. They pee, come back in the car.
And then your 14 hours turns into 20 hours. Cause
and you're 5 minutes driving, then somebody else need to pee. Yep. I didn't want to pee before. Now I want to pee. Come on.
Yeah, that's the worst.
I was threatening everybody and I was the one actually peeing.
Yeah.
So, P, brother, how are you, man?
I'm doing very well. Very well.
All good?
Thank you for having me, Javier.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about you. Let's say to people why you're here because... For sure, not because I was driving last time that you came all the way here. So, Pete.
Yep.
Peter.
Yep. Whatever you'd like to call me. Yeah, a lot of people call me Pete. A lot of people call me Pete. Some people call me Peter. Some people call me another name. It depends on what mood they're in. But, that's what the great part about, having a gym. That's what we're going to talk about and segue into. But, having a spot where you can be relaxed with the name and stuff like that, there's no kind of... Mr. or any of that stuff. It's pretty cool. So, like I said, anyone wants to call me anything, Pete, usually what I get because that's the old Instagram handle. So
I'm still weirded out when people call me sir.
Yeah, I'm like I'm not a sir. They're like, dude, you're old.
Or Mister. Like, hi, Mr. Eastman. Like, who's that? oh, you're talking to me? Oh, I'm sorry.
Exactly. What's funny was the other day I was holding the door for like a kid, and he's like, "Oh, thank you, sir," and I'm like, "Wait a minute." Again, I'm a sir.
Yeah.
I look at myself. I'm like, nah.
But at least you're young. How are you?
I'm 32.
Yeah,
so,
you're young. At least, but you're big and weird.
And I got the nice grays coming in. So the kid just threw me off guard. I was like, how do I respond to that? I was like, thanks, but like the same token, I was on to be like, do I look that old?
I think it's something in my end, at least in the artist mind, that we kind of never want to be mature. Let's say, it's not being immature, but that kind of title of being a Mr. something or sir or whatever in the artist mind doesn't exist. Like it's so common to still be 45 and wear Converse and jeans and t-shirts every day to work.
I wear flip-flops and shorts every day, even in the winter. I hate shoes. So, it is what it is. But again, I think it goes back to in your being an artist as a strength coach, relating to your athletes who are at the prime of their careers. Think about it from, they're starting at 13, 14 years old and they're in their prime in terms of a lot of the sports that I, train in their mid 20s. So when you hear sir, you feel like there's that disconnect from your athlete and you're like, oh crap, I'm like, how am I going to connect with these guys? Like, am I that old? And that's where I think, you get that that little panic because we're all taught as you get older, you start to fade out of the industry that you're in, especially in these bigger companies. It's like, oh crap, I'm older now. They're going to start weaning me out or whatever. And obviously having our own businesses, it's like we want to always have that connection with our clients and our athletes or whoever we're dealing with to always be part of that family. You don't want to be the older guy on the outskirts and have the younger guys.
It's you don't want to be like the boss figure.
Yeah,
you want to be part of the training, part of the group. You don't want to be just.
Yeah.
And people come train, then lift you out
and you know yourself being a business owner, you are the boss, but it's trying to separate that in between being the boss guy and being one of the pack or the crew. So it's
complicated.
It is very for sure.
It's complicated. In your field might be similar. In my field, I want people to do them. You know what I mean? If each of them are wanting to be themselves because it's art, So I don't want them to come to the shop and feel like they have to follow so many rules that kind of the freedom as an artist, right? But at the same time, there are rules.
Yeah.
And you want to be friend because I'm tattooing. I'm an artist. It's not like I just own the shop. I'm an artist. So I'm tattooing, and I see other people tattooing around me, and I get inspired. I want to sneak what they're doing. So I don't want to be like the boss, because it's always the figure of the boss. It's like everybody talk shit about that guy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this guy fucking annoying with his rule. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's hard to be also a co-worker and be the boss.
Exactly.
So I try to don't be too much of a boss. I'm a little control freak. I try to pull the rules very clear, but my rules are like respect your clients, be on time, know, and do your best every time. Don't cut corners, stuff like that, right?
Yeah, simple stuff.
Respect the job and all of that kind of things. And then I throw that rules and leave them alone, man.
Yeah.
They don't need to report to me. They don't need to do anything. You know?
And that's how it should be. It's like, it's very free flowing. I mean, we kind of experiment with that as well, at my spot. And it's like, like here's what you need to do. Like, let's do it. And what's great, like, I have a really good assistant who's been with me for a year now. And I think, younger kid, does his job. He's fantastic. I can't say enough good words about him, but the kids love him and everything else. And it is that respecting of like the overall general outline of the rules. But once you're engaged in that, I call it like the barbershop. We're like the gym that's a barbershop. We let anything fly, be yourself, like just like art. And tattooing, like training is unique to the person as well. So like we're creating workouts and things that are, individualized for certain people, but you also have to have the element of, lifting is also fun. Training for something that you care about and are passionate about is fun, right? Just like someone who likes getting tattooed or someone who is tattooing, who likes tattooing, you want to see that passion. You want to see the individuality. You want to see that. So you don't want to ever strip that. So we let it fly. Whatever you want to do, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to be inside the gym, if you want to, have that personality, as long as the ego doesn't get too big, we're cool with it.
Exactly.
We love it.
And that's that's what you're saying. Perfect. It's like you saying it from talking or referring about your other coworkers, let's say, right? The other trainers. And I said it referring to my artists. But the whole thing is to give the best experience possible to the clients, right?
Exactly.
Like you don't want to be putting so many rules and making your co-workers or other trainers so miserable that then the whole experience is miserable for the clients too. And every day that you come to work, you have to be the boss. You have to fucking fight with people. And then people is like, oh, this guy again. Yeah. People say that a lot about me. That guy, this guy again. So, you know what I mean? It creates that kind of friction, the constant friction that is not good environment for then the clientele to come in and enjoy the best moment, right?
Yeah, we just, we like let it fly. I don't see myself as above anybody else in our gym. Yeah. I am the boss because I pay the bills, but I don't see myself as being above anyone else. We are all equals in terms of what we are doing. We all have common goals. My goal is to make the best athlete possible. My coworkers are trying to do what I am telling them to do in terms of the programming. They learn from me and how I want things done. Once they understand and grasp that concept, they're on their own. They'll show me a program that they've made for somebody. If it fits what we're trying to accomplish, good. That's awesome. Be yourself. Be that individual. Help that athlete. I can't have my eyes on everything all the time. That's good. Knowing that I can trust these guys is really important. But it also goes back to, when you have a client experience and like what we're trying to do is by saying that we're not above anyone else, like I have to make myself approachable at all times. I love to bust balls. Like that's what we do, in our environment and what we do, training primarily hockey guys and athletes. Athletes have a way about them, and you can understand that once you get to know them and understand them, that you can bust chops and do things, and it creates a culture of being able to joke around, being serious. I don't have to be like the authority there because they start to police themselves because there's those rules. We're all here for a common goal, and then I become and stay approachable. I mean, I've worked at places which I took and I took what I didn't like about those and put them into my business. I worked for a place and the boss was very inapproachable. You could not, you were afraid to talk to him. And I was an employee, and you go, I don't want to talk to this guy. One, he's probably going to just yell at me or tell me, I don't know anything, and it didn't seem like he really cared about anything other than like the only top 1%. And I was like, I'll never be that guy. I don't care if you're 9 years old, you have weak knees, your neurological system is so messed up that you can hardly touch your toes without falling over. I'm going to say hi to you. I'm going to approach you. I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to get to know what you did that weekend. What do you do? What's your family like? What's your dog's name? So I can ask, hey, Johnny, how was your weekend? You know, did you hang out with your dog, Sam? You know, talk individual to every person, no one thing.
That's cool, man.
And that's, you know, I think in both of our industries, I think that's super important, you know. And I mean, I know last time I was working with you and we were working on the St. Michael piece, you know, first thing you said was, hey, how's the podcast? And then you mentioned something out of the podcast, you know, like you had taken that information, retained it and came back. And it's like, now we're back to like, you know, hanging out. And it's not like that, like that awkward moment of like, oh crap, can I talk? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's very good to like have those people skills. And I think that's super important in the industries that we kind of work in. So
yeah, man. Awesome. Yeah. I agree with 100%. Listen, but it's right now as a boss, I would say, and I can say become the boss. My employees or co-workers are not here, so they cannot deny what I'm saying. But no, I assume that it's much easier working with me than what it used to be. Because the problem I've always been very control freak, right? And before my own shop, I was partnered in a different shop with a good friend. And at the end, we split, right? Everybody their own ways and no hard feelings. Kind of. But you know what I mean? Yeah. It's okay. The point is that I understand that when I was in that shop, mostly in the beginning, right? When I joined the shop, because it was already open when I walked in and became a partner, it was a little messy. So I was the one that have to come and put the rules because it was no rule. In the whole area, it was not a deposit system. Like people make appointments but don't leave deposit. So I have to enforce it. Because I learned it from traveling from other tattoo friends of mine, tattoo artist friends of mine, and I thought it worked. And what was happening in that shop, for example, it was the people make an appointment at 10 in the morning and 12 in the noon, they're not there. So the front desk called and they're like, oh, yeah, it's today, right? Can you change it for tomorrow? Like, they didn't give a fuck. It was not serious enough. So when you come and you like, no, it have to be at 10, it's at 10, right? You can come a little later. You can call us, hey, I'm on my way, sorry, I'm late. All that we understand, right? But when people like, just like, oh, yeah, move it for another day. I don't want to come today. I don't feel in the mood. Like, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah. So you have to start enforcing that. You the ass automatically. Yeah. And when that shop been open for 1 or 2 years or something, and everybody that comes understand that's the way how the shop is, and then somebody else come in the picture and start like, come on, rules, you are an artist, you have to be here before you client, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or a little after, but not just show 1 hour later like you don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And I don't know, keep everything organized and don't drink in the shop. I don't want to see bottles of beer everywhere. That when somebody serious walk to inquire about a tattoo, they see bottle of beer in the floor. What is that? You know?
Exactly.
So then sadly, I would say this will go easier if people like understand what you're trying to do, or if they don't understand, at least come to you and say like, I feel it's better if we just leave bottle of beer everywhere because of this reason, whatever the reason they might think, right? But it will be easy if they communicate back to you. But when they don't do it and then keep repeating the same mistake, let's call it mistake, right? Or a weird modus operandi. I don't know how you call it. You know, like a weird way to manage yourself as a artist. And then you have to repeat again. Listen, bro, you have to come on time. And then another time, listen, you have to come on. Then suddenly you become the asshole.
Exactly.
It's not like, fuck, I'm being irresponsible. Nobody can say that to themselves, right? Yeah. They're like, oh, this guy is so annoying, you know? Yeah. Oh, this guy again with his shit, right?
Because I guess people fall into routines, and like that. If that's the lax mentality of the business, then that's what the artist or whoever the employee thinks is the way, you know. Like, and you partnered with somebody, so you know you have one guy who doesn't care about the rules, then and now you have tension and friction between you two, and it's like, you know.
No, but it's worse when the other guy agree with you.
Yeah, and then the employees
in front of you. But when the employees come to him, he's like, "Oh yeah, you know how Javier is." But then he call you, Javier. Can you tell them to please do this?
Yeah, exactly. Like, so that's exactly.
You're
it's
the
like,
ass all the time, right?
Yeah. So deflection into he'll be the disciplinarian.
Yeah. At the end, you're the asshole, and the other guy is the good guy. But whatever. It's similar to being a parent.
Yeah.
I'm the easy guy. My wife is the asshole.
Yeah, it's the good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, man. I need to refresh, because I've always was the asshole. So in the house, it's okay. I'm the sweet guy.
Yeah, you're like, dude, I don't know.
My wife is the asshole.
That's good though. I mean, that's good. You have both sides of it. You don't always have to be the disciplinarian, which is awesome. Man.
So. But and it's not like I really that's disciplinary. I just want things to work well for everybody, right?
Exactly.
And clients to respect artists. That's what I want, the posse and be on time. But at the same time, I want the artists to respect the clients.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all, right? And when things are not working, you have to try to enforce it. When you have this goal that you want a good tattoo shop with good artists and everybody responsible with clientele that respect this environment, make it the most beautiful possible. And then you want the artist. When you want that as a goal, the only way to make it happen is making it happen.
Exactly.
Exactly. By itself, it's easier to go to chaos than to order.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you leave it by itself.
Exactly. Well, because everyone will decide to pick an easier route. You know?
For themselves.
Exactly. Because it becomes the individual, not like you're saying, it's not the client. Like the artist itself, and then the client thinks that that's the way because the artist or, in my case, it's hard. For the longest time, it's only just been me. Right. And life happens. Right. So I'm late for something because, I get the dogs ready or whatever. And now I'm doing something or like, something like this arises where I want to change my schedule because this is important to me as well. We have lives as well. And then you got to like find that balance again. It's like, the client is always looking at the whole situation and being like, well, if he goes and does like that stuff, then I can go and do this stuff because he doesn't care. Although we do care, but it's like once it gets into that system, right? It, like you said,
like
previously, it ends up going to that chaos. You're absolutely right. And it's very hard to reel that all back in because now you might lose a few clients, but you also might pick some clients up that are kind of more towards that chaos. And it's like, well, now your shop's becoming that, I'd call it the local townie bar, like where there are no rules. You kind of just do what you want. And at the end of the day, it is what it is.
It's not beneficial for anybody.
No, because those places usually just have the same revenue streams always coming in of like the same certain people. Whereas a tattoo shop that's going to be popular, you need to draw people that maybe weren't necessarily into tattoos. Like for me, maybe not so much into like fitness or maybe didn't think their kids were ready at the time. And they see and hear, how good your spot is and clean it is and how much you care about each client and like your management style, because management style is important, they know that you're going to be disciplinary to their kids because that's how you use, that with your staff and like everyone's on time and they're cordial. And it's like you said, I think you hit it perfectly on the head. It's all a domino effect. And I think, in our industries, you're working with the body, I'm working with the body, you're doing art, we're doing the inside, kind of outside physique type thing, but it all goes back to that same concept of, if you're doing it the right way and you come up with a system, it'll just be successful. If you just let it slide, it's just going to, it'll go to...
The chances are rather hard for it to be successful if you let it be by itself.
And
So, wait, Pete.
Yeah.
What you do? Let's tell people.
Exactly.
We're 25 minutes into talking.
So what do I do?
Let's say people. Who are you?
I'm a professional bum. No. So I'm a strength conditioning specialist by trade. So that means
what?
A strength and conditioning specialist. So what that is my educational background is in some realm of the health sciences. I have a degree in exercise science. So my degree says that I can work in various areas of fitness and health, primarily working with the body. So I know in school, I went to Sacred Heart University, wonderful place. Shout out to Shu. But I played football there as well. So I grew up an athlete. And
what is the mascot there?
We're a pioneer. We're always pillaging forward, I guess, creating new stuff. And that university has exploded, and they have a whole new EX department. But, I was there from 2008 until 2011. I stayed an extra year just because I had redshirted in football, and then I had taken a lax schedule. But, we in our degree, we're working with, cardiac rehab, so we can have that type of thing where, if we wanted to work more in like a hospital setting with cardiac patients, we kind of have that. And that's kind of using the body post like heart attack or any type of trauma to the heart. Then we have a background in what my profession is like strength and conditioning, like sports performance, where we're looking at data, we're looking at the body from an athletic perspective and saying, how can we make an athlete better? So it's basically, to sum it all up, and this is going to sound really simple, but it's injury prevention. We are looking at an athlete who's going to do X, Y, or Z, and our goal is to make them strong enough to not be injured playing a sport so they can stay on the field as long as possible. And then there's another side of our field where it's like health and nutrition, and you're kind of like your personal trainer, where like if you were to go to like a box gym or something like that, where you're having that one-on-one experience with a client and you're talking about nutrition and you're kind of using that, realm to get benefits for your clients. Now, before I started with my own job, I worked at one of those box gyms. I became a personal trainer, and my thing was weight loss. I was like, I would consider myself to be someone who can really work well with obese clients or overweight clients. Because myself, I was overweight for a very long period of time, and I took what I learned. I lost 100 pounds at one point post-football. So I started working with clients to get my feet wet in that area, and then I quickly realized that maybe that wasn't for me because I was an athlete. I still craved being around athletes. I wanted to be with that top 1%, or in my case, it'd be like top 5% because we have kids that are in high school and college, et cetera, and you want to just dwindle that down a bit. But, that was kind of what I was focused on. And so I was able to use my degree and all that I learned to start to segue into that. And I had ended up working for a place in Darien called Apprentice Hockey Performance, where they train mostly just pro hockey guys, a lot of Division I college guys. Darien. And they just moved to Stanford 2 years ago. Ben's a good guy. Really taught me a lot of good knowledgeable stuff in terms of like working with a higher class, athlete who's making millions of dollars. So it was cool to get your feet wet with that. And then after that, I just got lucky. I was basically, I wasn't needed there for the fall because all the guys start to go back and play for their teams. And an opportunity presented itself. So I had actually just jumped on and opened up my own spot. So now I'm 7 years later, and we're still rocking and rolling. And
awesome.
It's a very unique and gratifying experience for sure.
I have this client that he working with hockey, professional hockey, and strength and conditioning in Stanford, I think.
What's his name?
Rob
Dombrowski?
Yeah. You know him?
Yeah. Robbie went to Sacred Heart as well. Rob was underneath me. He works at Ben's.
Yeah. I didn't know it was Ben's, but it kind of ring to me. That's what I mentioned.
Yeah.
Awesome dude, man. I love that guy.
He's a cool dude. Rob was a little bit below me in school, so I know him very well. Yeah. A lot of the guys that I know.
Shout out to Rob, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome
Rob,
dude.
if you're listening. Uncle Petey's saying what up. They used to call me Uncle Petey.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's a little funny, weird story, but nonetheless.
Let me ask you something that you were introducing all that you do in your trajectory a little bit very quick there, and a couple of questions came to my mind, right? I'm no athlete. I know you can see it, right? But okay, let me see. You work as a personal trainer with weight loss, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I should be doing. I know what I said. That's me, but that's what I should be doing.
Yeah.
How different is to work? It's a very stupid question, kind of, but I need to understand a little bit. How? Because what you do now, you train with people that is already driven to train. Mm-hmm. They already love to train. They already know how to do it for their careers. So you don't have to like wake them up or push them like, come on, do a sit up. Don't be a lazy ass. Like with me, that would be the case, right?
Yeah.
Stop eating that crap. You know what I mean? So how hard, or it's kind of the same, just different approach to train with people that is already a professional athlete compared with somebody that just need to lose weight but never been into that?
So I think the in terms of your question, I think it's a lot actually different. And what you need to do is have experience in both realms. And this is my personal opinion. Having myself lost a lot of weight and having to become self-motivated to do that, I tend to be able to relate to clients who are just looking for general fitness and or weight loss. The problem is selling it not so much as a diet, but a lifestyle modification. And then that is where you start to think about psychology and how the brain works and what we're drawn to and, you know, our resistance for change because we're creatures of habit. So it takes at least 2 months of doing the same thing over and over before it becomes a standard habit. So you have to look at the client, it's him or herself, and say, how can I change their thought process to this isn't a diet, this is a lifestyle modification. And I think I've adapted to that over time to where a lot of trainers, and I'm just going to speak general in this because I've been around enough to understand that they do get really good results, but I don't think for the long haul of what they're doing is the most beneficial for their clients because we're not changing their habits. Mm-hmm. Our goal is to change habits so that you can not think of life as a diet. I'm not dieting forever. I'm creating a lifestyle change that is more beneficial to the long term of my health and existence. Now, if I'm on a diet, I get frustrated with a diet. Yes. I feel like I'm restricting myself from the pleasures of life. Now, that's, you know, we live in a society where we're born and raised in processed food and genetically modified food and chemicals that are addictive to us. Mm-hmm. Like sugar is addicting. Like chemicals in our food are addicting. They use chemists and, you know, chemical engineers to literally make food so desirable to our palates that we don't want anything else. Yes. Now, how, as a trainer, do I get you to think outside of that box that you can still maintain some order of that, but also fit into your genes? Mm-hmm. It's very hard and challenging, but you have to talk to them about longevity. You have to talk about health, but you also have to be a real person. When I'm working with someone who's coming to me for just general fitness, it's let's do the best that we can for 5 to 6 days. The best that we can. Give it all you got for 5 to 6 days. And on that 7th day, have a relaxed day. Mm-hmm. Now, if that 7th day falls like it's your birthday, don't go and restrict yourself from the cake. Don't restrict yourself from that piece of pizza because you know what you're going to do?
Crave it.
You're not only going to crave it, but the next day, if something bad presents itself, like you're at the office party and it's someone else's birthday and they have cake, or it's your kid's bake sale, or, you know, you just happen to go out with your significant other that night and you're looking at the dessert menu, you're going to say, well, I didn't eat that yesterday, so let me eat it today. Mm-hmm. And then that compounds to, well, I was really good and I only had a little bit here, so the next day I have a little bit more. So now we, instead of doing 5 to 6 days of good, clean, nutrient-dense food that's going to help you, so that when you do eat that cake or cookie or, you know, ice cream or whatever, your body's going to think of it as a different type of thing where it's like, what is this? Like, let me rev up my metabolism. It's going to always be like kind of expecting that. And that's where we kind of find that some people, if I would say majority of people, don't have the self-control. Mm-hmm. Now, there are books written. I mean, if you look at Lane Norton, who is a really, really good, you know, I would say scientist at this point, and he works a lot with nutrition, and he came up with that if it fits your macros, right? And where he's saying kind of the opposite of what I'm saying of, well, you can eat the Oreo or the cookie or whatever if you program it into yourself, you know, into your diet plan. I think that's all great. But I feel like the people who get the best results are those type A personality people. Yeah. Whereas the type B personality people that will exploit that to the fullest extent and then end up eating an entire chocolate cake as their meals for the day and say, well, I fit in my macros. I tend to think that everyone is like them instead of everyone's going to listen to what I'm saying.
At least the big majority. And I'm into that group too, that big group.
Yeah.
And I always like to think about myself as the A group. Like, it's okay, I can count it, leave it. No, it's bullshit because... yeah, you can do it, but then you under that pressure of counting and measuring every day, and in some point you're gonna be like, it's okay to get a little more, because it's a reward for whatever I did, and then you fucked because then you start like getting out of control, and that's not good. And I feel like I notice it on myself, right? Because I used to smoke cigarettes, right? Mm-hmm. And I never get. It was for a kind of short period of time in my life. I started smoking when I was like probably 27, 26. It's weird. All my friends started smoking when they were like 14 and 15, and I skipped all those years. You know, when you're cool if you smoke or whatever. I skipped. I didn't care about it until I was like 26 or something, 25. When I moved to this country, pretty much. And the thing is that I tried to quit smoking at some point because I was annoyed already of the smell, and because the girlfriend in that time said like, "Oh, you smell like a ashtray or whatever." So I was like, okay, I gotta quit. I gotta just start smoking 3 cigarettes a day. So it's kind of similar what you're saying with that group.
Yeah.
Like I thought I was in the group A. Like I can just, cut it for 3 cigarettes instead of 2 packages a day.
Yeah.
And no, bullshit. Next day it's like, let me get just one more.
Yeah.
It's okay. 3, 4 is not big difference.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's
3
5.
days later, it's 2 packages again.
Yeah. And then
1 packet, whatever, and you go out, and then it's hard to get back to. And then even when you know that it's possible kind of to cut it to 3 cigarettes and just do it, you just don't do it.
Exactly.
And exactly the same thing happened to me with working out and losing weight and trying to stay healthy in my habits of eating or eating habits or whatever. Is that I always like, okay, I got to start eating clean, and I enjoy it so much, right? I cut all the processed bullshit. I just eat like greens, juices, and like clean food, like, vegetables and proteins or meats that you can cook, but nothing processed added to it, right? And it feels so good. But in some point, it's like, okay, I have this vacation. It's vacation time. I can get a couple of drinks, a couple of piña coladas or margaritas or whatever. Okay, a taco tonight. It's okay. And then suddenly you're back into the bad habits. And still you remember how good you felt when you were doing the clean shit.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to go back to it, man. And a big part of the reason that I wanted you here today is because I know that big group is a big portion of humankind where I am included too, that is so hard for us to find a way to go back or start, because some people haven't even started trying it.
Yeah.
But a big group is kind of sad. A big group of us, we tried it, we loved it, we broke out of the healthy path that we were, and it's so hard to go back. And I kind of go back and out, in and out. But I wanted it to stay there. So I wanted it to see if there was, because I know it's no magic pill. I know there is nothing that you can really do for somebody if they're not willing to do it, right? But there is people that is really willing to do it.
But they just can't make that first step.
That first step, man.
Yeah.
The first 2 month steps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when I'm working with someone like that, and we're gonna think of that B group, what I'm gonna and how I teach and how I do things, I'm trying to educate you into the best possible scenario of informing you what you are eating. Right now, you have to think about it like anything in life. You're gonna have the people who make the product that are telling you that this is amazing product, like this is awesome. There's studies and this and that and all this nonsense, bullshit. And it's the best thing and it's so good for you and whatever. But then there's like the actuality of that, the actual, it's not so good for me, but they're telling me it's good for me, and I'm just gonna believe that because it fits what I want to believe in my head. So I'm telling people like, hey, look at what we have here in terms of the spectrums of food. Okay. If I'm an elite runner, okay, if I'm running every day and I'm maybe doing something that's called like intermitting fasting. I know that there's a popular guy on YouTube that can literally, he runs and bikes, majority of his day, and then eats like these absurd calorie things. And he's a peanut. He's not a very big human being. And you look at that and go, how the hell is this guy consuming 70,000 calories? And this is absurd, pure sugar nonsense. And then he goes and he says, well, this is what I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. So I'm educating you to say, again, that 5 to 7 range, 5 days of clean eating. But I'm going to tell you why you should eat clean. When we eat and when we take in dairy, a lot of people don't realize that it creates inflammation and mucus, right? If you're someone like myself who is I'm susceptible to that, now I have trouble breathing. I'm creating mucus. There's a reason why if you look at it like singers, right? Would they ever drink a bottle of milk on stage? Absolutely not. Why? It creates mucus. Right? So now you can't sing to the best of your ability. So we go through life every day consuming milk products and doing things, right? Sugar. You got to think of insulin sensitivity. Some of us are not genetically gifted enough to get away with having a ton of sugar, and sugar's in everything. So now you go and you have your full sugar coffee, and then all of a sudden you hit the lull and you go, I'm hungry again, or I need that fix. So now I have a Coke. So now my blood sugar goes through the roof.
Coke meaning Coca-Cola, just in case.
Coca-Cola. the other stuff is you're not coming down for a while, but nonetheless, you're gonna need that and crave that again. And then all of a sudden you get to your lunch, right? And you have a burger and fries, because that seems to be like something that a lot of Americans do. We have cafeterias and fast food, and people work a very hectic schedule. So now you're having all that fat, salt, grease.
And sugars, and all that stuff.
And now, if you're taking an extra large Coke, because everything's or Coca-Cola or your whatever your juice, and you're adding all that fat and salt, now you're creating that optimal position for your body to jump up in terms of insulin, and now you're packing on the extra calories, because now that Coke that drink was 600 calories. And your burger was 1,100 calories, so now you're already at 1,700 calories, and you had 2 wake-up wraps for breakfast and a large coffee from Starbucks, which is 7 million calories, and then all of a sudden and you multiply that over a long time. Yeah. Here you go. Now nobody woke up and looked at themselves like Tim Allen and the Santa Claus and went, "Oh, I guess I'm fat today." Like, it doesn't happen that way. It's a slow, progressive build that once you're off that train track, because you don't notice it all the time until it's too late.
You know what is crazy in this side of the fence, in the big group, something that you gotta hit all the time is that it's so easy to gain weight. It's so hard to lose weight. And it's actually not that easy to gain weight. The thing is that it's more pleasurable. You know what I mean? Like, pleasurable? Is that
it? Is, yeah.
Pleasurable?
Much more pleasurable.
I don't know where I got that word, but it sounds good. Okay. Yeah. Because you know what I mean? You're sitting and eating. So you're doing 2 things that's so easy and good, right?
Well, we also create think of all the things that are good in our lives. Yeah. Everything. All the social gatherings, all the nights out, everything is surrounded by food. And drink. Now I'm drinking my calories. I'm eating pleasurable food. I'm eating stuff that's so good and delicious because now I'm in a joyful environment. We call those the vacation hormones. Like we use that term at my gym. Yeah? The vacation hormones. Because when you're on vacation, you're loose, you're relaxed, you don't care. You're very kind of that. So when you go out, right, and you're going to have a good time, you're not thinking about, I had, 2 mojitos and I had, 6 shots and I had the bowl of, I like this place called Geronimo's. I think their guac's amazing. Shout out to Geronimo's.
Oh, I love Geronimo's.
I love it, dude. I could eat like 6 guac bowls. I'm not even going to lie.
Shout out to Geronimo's.
Yeah, exactly. But, you're out and you go, oh, okay. But then you forgot, like, I ate breakfast. I ate lunch. I ate dinner. I had a snack. And and you just don't care. And because everything pleasurable in our lives are centered around food. Everything is like,
it's crazy, right?
Birthday parties. You're not putting out, like salmon and rice with vegetables. You're getting pizzas, burgers, ice cream, cake, and you sit around, you laugh, you have a few beers, and the kids go off and do their thing. And you're all happy and you're shooting the shit, but it's centered around food. Football Sunday centered around food. Super Bowl centered around food. And birthday or not birthday. We already mentioned that, but like weddings, what do? You're drinking and eating. Everything in life is centered around food. So that B group, it's not that they're less willing. It's just that you don't have a game plan.
Yeah, but it's also a conditioning. Like that thing is in your brain from first days. You know what I mean? Like back in the day when, hunter and gatherers, like they don't have food, never have food. They have to go and get a berry now and then. So sugar, it was great to have that little pump of sugar, right? Energy or whatever. When they finally hunt, they have to fast. So it's a festivity. It's a celebration. Yeah. They got meat to eat and everybody's around the fire and is eating and is celebrating that food because they don't know when they're going to get it again.
Exactly.
It's just that now You don't need to weigh a month to hand.
Exactly.
You just go down the street and buy whatever you want.
Exactly. And we overconsume.
And now we overconsume.
Exactly.
Because the gratification came inside of us in our genes or in evolution. It's just that now we have so much so easy.
Yeah. And what we think of being hungry is not necessarily like being hungry. Mm-hmm. Now, a prime example of that is if you look at examples, and I'm going to go right into like what you're piggybacking what you're saying, is all that primal stuff, primal dieting, paleo, intermittent fasting, hunter-gatherer type stuff. There are probably millions of books written on that. Mm-hmm. And, or modern day, like the Godfather paleo, like Rob Wolf, like he wrote great books. He about the whole hunter gathering type thing, and you have a multiple array of different people in the industry talking about that. I mean, there's a paleo convention. I mean, these are big things. And keto, right? So the whole keto movement, and it's really kind of centered around that whole ancestral type thing. Think of the carnivore diet, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm just throwing these examples out to you. I can explain more about them, later. But think there are people that get amazing results. They eat meat. They have a big freaking steak and some bacon fat or duck fat, and that's their meal for like the day. Mm-hmm. And they say it's like ancestral that you had the meat and then you took a few days off and whatever, and it's all this criminal stuff that we're addressing. But again, like you mentioned, we have supermarkets and we have the ability to Uber Eats now, which is, oh boy, I find myself Uber eating a lot myself. I try to make healthier decisions, but we don't even know what it's like to be hungry. We don't know that. So
meaning of course, there is people in the world that really hungry on that, but we're not talking about that in this case.
Yes,
I don't want people to take out of context. We're talking about
North America, average. And we're talking about Fairfield County, which we're in right now. There aren't many people. I mean, there are. Let's not beat around the bush. But in terms of hunter-gathering hungry, we don't even hit that now. I would say I am a huge believer in intermittent fasting. I think that's a very good idea. Having a little feed window, and
so sorry to interrupt. Just that. What would you say is the best? It's not a way to ask because it's so different but it's changed by people.
Exactly.
It's too many.
I think the answer where you're going with the question is I think it's what works best for you and your schedule and your life.
That will be the best.
Yeah.
Ideal for everybody.
Exactly.
Because you don't want to force yourself into something that is so complicated for you that then you cannot follow it and gonna be breaking out of that new style of life.
And I literally tell people when I'm working with them, here's my thing. 3 things. If you can't shoot it, pick it, or grow it, don't eat it. Mm-hmm. So if you're walking down the aisle at the supermarket and you're in those inner aisles, the ones that are never good.
I know.
They're never
good. Where the Oreos cookies are and the cereals.
Yeah. Listen, a little Cinnamon Toast Crunch, or a little, we all fall victim to them, or a little Oreo action. But if you can't pick an Oreo out of the ground and eat it in its natural form, it's probably not good for you. I can go over to the outskirts of that supermarket and take an apple, and I can go during the fall now because they're starting to grow, and in a month go and pick 100,000 apples because that's in their natural form. Mm-hmm. I can go into the ground and pull out a carrot because it's its natural form. I can go over to a chicken or a hen or a deer or a cow. I'm not a big, I like the cows, so I tend to sway on that issue. But, the fish, right? I can go and hunt or fish and grab that meat and its whole form. I can't go and grab the chips in their whole form.
I know.
I can make my own, which I find to be healthier. I can use the air fryer or things of that nature. So I don't want to tell people that they should restrict themselves of all these good things. Just learn how to make food pleasurable for you and your schedule. Mm-hmm. And if you like a certain thing, how can we make it a little bit healthier? Mm-hmm. How can we make it more in your schedule appropriate, right? If I have a sedentary lifestyle, I don't need a lot of calories because I'm not moving. Mm-hmm. If I'm an elite runner, like I said before, I can get away with a lot of calories because I'm burning a lot of calories. And what we tend to forget is portion size and control based on activity level. Mm-hmm. So we go to work and we had the supersize me, and then we go to lunch and we had a salad, but now we put Caesar dressing all over it. So now our fat content's through the roof. Mm-hmm. And we had another soda, and then I go to the gym for 30 minutes and I do maybe a little bit of a workout, or I just do the stair mill or whatever, and I go home and eat, and now I'm negating that whole workout because I'm not getting anything good and full and nutrient dense. I'm just eating something to eat something, and then I have a little snack before bed. My energy expenditure for that day isn't to where my calories should be. So we also have to talk to our clients about that. It's like, what is your lifestyle? Mm-hmm. One of my coworkers, his name is Richard. I call him Ricky. He's a really knowledgeable guy. I think he was my mentor for a while when I worked at the public gym, and we brought him on. And he works with clients, and it's very simple, kind of like what I'm talking about. And he gets amazing results because eat good, clean food. Become full off of clean food.
Mm-hmm. Because that's the thing, man. When you eat something that is clean, you don't eat so much.
No.
You don't keep going and keep going. You just, you put your plate, a steak, let's say, and some broccoli. I don't know, whatever. You eat that and you feel full, and you don't need to keep going. But when you do pizza, you don't get 2 slices. You go 6 slices.
Oh, yeah.
And if somebody else has something, another different flavor, you want to, can I try a little bit of that one? And maybe chuck a couple of Coca-Cola with that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You keep going when it's on cheaty shit.
Because there's no nutrient density there's no value of density. I call it the value of density. There's no fiber. There's no full nutrient panels that you're consuming that are going to allow you to be satiated over the long haul. Mm-hmm. You're going to, maybe in a pizza example, that fat will eventually start to catch up because it's slower digesting.
And stuff like that.
Yeah. And you'll become hungry eventually. But I tell my clients, go home, grab a bag of almonds. Try to eat that entire bag of raw almonds.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Good luck. You're not going to do it. You're going to get to maybe a portion size, maybe 10, 11, 12. Mm-hmm. If you're really, really hungry, 15. And
if you get it with water,
probably
you get 7 of those things in your hand and you're over. You don't want more.
You literally are like, one, this is bland as heck. And 2, if I eat any more of these, and you realize, oh, shit, I only ate 10. Mm-hmm. You're like, I'm done. But then 20 minutes later, you're kind of full. Mm-hmm. Because the fat from the nut is allowing you to sustain energy, but it's a slower digesting, slower burning energy. So, but I say, hey, go get a bag of chips. You could probably get the family-sized bag of Cape Cod and eat the entire thing and be hungry 20 minutes later. Mm-hmm. It's like, here's what I'm talking about. Here's a real-world example of what I'm talking about. Take a healthy food, eat it, like we were talking about. You're not going to eat a lot of it. Eat the crap. You're going to eat a ton of it.
And the thing with a healthy food also is that even if you overeat it, you're not really causing too much damage to your body. You know what I'm saying? Even let's say you are full of one steak and you keep pushing another steak. At the end of the day, how much weight you gotta really gain out of that, or how bad you gotta be out of that, other than feeling gross, full for a couple of hours.
I mean, it also depends on what you have for the rest of the day. I mean, obviously, if your calories are completely over, that's obviously not the best thing. But ultimately, eating 6 ounces of steak or 8 ounces of steak on one day, it's not going to really make or break the whole equation if you ate well the rest of the day. I mean, you might not have the 18-pack abs, you might have the 8-pack abs, whatever, But from a health perspective, it's not necessarily too bad. What we need to look at is the how they raise the animal. That's the most important part.
In that case, yes.
Yeah, is it farm raised, or is it big stockyards? What kind of hormones are they putting in the meat? That's a whole different question. That's that's a whole different talking point.
Something that I learned through personal experience is that it's trying to start changing your life into a more healthier. You don't really need to know all of that information. And the reason that I mention is because several times that I have tried to change my ways, right, from eating crap to eat healthier, once I started eating healthier, there is always people that come with great intentions. Mm-hmm. But in my case, it fucked me up so bad because, for example, let's say I cut everything that's processed and I start eating just meats and some vegetables, right? Mm-hmm. And then some people come like, oh, but those vegetables are not the best. You should get this vegetable instead. And then somebody else said, but you shouldn't eat at this time. You should eat at that time. Or this meat is not that meat. It gets so confusing that you'd rather fucking
you just like fuck it out
at this point, whatever. Then you don't feel so guilty of breaking now that new routine into chitty chat game because you feel like you weren't doing that good anyway. But it's not the case. Like what I feel is actually good happening when you start, right? Doesn't matter that if the cow came from the wrong place. Let's say I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying just start. It's kind of evolved from one point
you have to get from A
more,
to B.
To a more. Oh man, I don't know what happened with my work today. That's my brain being tired. Sorry. What I'm trying to say is that first you start. Start. You need the first step.
Exactly.
You don't need to first get all the information. No, just start. Just cut the crap and start eating clean food. Yeah. That's all. That's the first step.
And then go into
then
the next
little
step.
by little, you realize, okay, maybe potatoes are not as good as the sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
Let's switch them.
Exactly.
And now maybe this kind of cheap meat that I buy in the supermarket is not as good as if we buy a cleaner meat in, for organic procedure or whatever from this other place or this or that. But little by little, when you start noticing that change in your body, not that your pants fits better or your teachers or you look a little better, not just that, but also the energy levels. Mm-hmm. Your brain is not fucked like mine right now. When all of this start happening, you automatically start looking for better options of what you're already doing. Yeah. To keep it cleaner and cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. The problem is that when you want to start the process and you feel like, okay, I don't know enough.
There's too much information.
Let me try to find the information. As you said, there are millions of books on each of those topics. Then which one is the best one?
Exactly.
And again, that happened to me so many times that just dragged me out of the... Instead of help me to be focused, it actually kicked me out of the...
And you are part of the group that we are dealing with on a constant basis. And that's why I keep it to my 3 rules. You can't shoot it, pick it, or grow it, don't eat it. Mm-hmm. And now, after that, if you want more information, then we'll go into that. Yeah. But again, like you said, something. It's just the first step. And what I do, and in my personal opinion, is I can relate to you. Mm-hmm. I can show you pictures of me at 36, 38% body fat, eating all the processed food, eating meals that I know I shouldn't, but I had to put weight on, to where I was so sick and so out of shape and out of breath and disgusting feeling that I couldn't sleep. I couldn't perform at my best. I wasn't even as strong as I should have been. Mm-hmm. I got strong once I started doing more healthy things. So now I can relate to you and say, here is what I was. Here's what I did. Mm-hmm. How can we have you have similar results? And let's just take some things out. Just like you're saying, baby step. Mm-hmm. Baby step for 1 to 2 weeks. Or even crawl 1 to 2 weeks. Take your first step 2 weeks later by saying, I'm a big reintroduce type guy. So I'll tell you to possibly take something out that I know it's not going to break you mentally because I'm keeping everything else in. So if you really, have a little, we call it the spare tire around your waist, and I know you're probably consuming a lot of wheat products, and wheat products are not that good. I know they're promoted as good, but they're really not that good. We're stripping nutrients away from that. The wheat, it's the whole could get really educational, but we don't need to go there. I say, okay, let's take the bread out for a few weeks. Try not to eat it.
Okay.
Eat something else. Just try something else. Have a more easily digestible carbohydrate. Maybe a little white rice or a potato or a yam or whatever. Try something new. Try just to limit that for 14 days. You can do that for 14 days. I know you can. Mm-hmm. Everyone can. It's not. I mean, think about it. It's a piss drop. Really it's a piss drop in the ocean. Like, it's not going to infect anything. At the long scale of your life. Then I say after like 14 to like 20 days, I say reintroduce the bread.
And see how you feel.
Exactly. Go take a piece of bread, shove it in your mouth, and see if you feel better or worse. Same with dairy. Mm-hmm. Take the dairy out. reintroduce it. If you consume the dairy and all of a sudden your nose feels a little congested, you're a little mucousy, your joints hurt because of the inflammation, your body doesn't like that.
Yeah, my wife just told me that. Like now she's noticing how when she drinks milk, she get like phlegm.
Yeah.
And I was telling her, that's your body's saying
no more.
I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. And that's just an allergic reaction that we're having inside of our bodies at the time because we really don't need that. But remember, it was promoted as healthy, right? It saved generations of people because it's considered a food. And we tend to think of it as a beverage. It's not a beverage. It's food. It has fats, protein, and carbohydrates.
Imagine that.
So it's a food. You're eating a food, right? And I tell my clients as well. If I walked up to a woman who's breastfeeding, and this is going to sound ridiculous, but if I latched onto her boob, socially inappropriate, but that's food for her baby. What we're doing is the same thing in a cow. We're latching on to the cow's food for its baby, which is full of antibodies, right? For that baby to not get sick, to grow, to get into his immune system and make sure that baby calf is healthy. We're consuming that. No process that we can do is going to destroy those things in that milk. We can make it the 1%, the water it down, the 2%, whatever. But those hormones and those antibodies and things are still in the milk itself. No one's going to change my mind differently. Why do you think that the way of the world consuming these dairy products? Look at children today. There are children experiencing, abnormal, results to their growth and development very early, where you would see that natural progression happen more so later on over the past 100 years. Why? Because we're consuming that calf. I tell people that calf's supposed to be 500 pounds.
Imagine that.
That's you're drinking. It's food. That's like me saying, okay, we're gonna go eat lion-sized portions of meat. Okay. Well, eventually we're gonna get really, really fat.
Yeah.
Because our bodies aren't meant to consume that type of stuff. We're not supposed to do that, and we keep keeping it alive because there's millions and millions and millions of dollars in these, agricultural systems of the dairy farmers and everything else that are way above our pay grade, but they're keep promoting it as these healthy things. Now, every once in a while, you want to have a glass of milk, not a big deal, but every day, 2 to 3, 4, 5, cups of milk plus the ice cream. We wonder why.
And then cheese and then all of that other stuff.
Exactly. So it's take it out a little bit, see how you feel. And some people, you'll reintroduce those things and they won't have an issue. They have no problem. They have no problem. So then I go, listen, it's not that clearly. Okay, maybe it's not that. Let's take the puzzle pieces and rearrange them again. Maybe it's something else that you're eating. Maybe it's a fiber issue. You're just not getting enough fiber, and your whole insides are all clogged up. We're vessels for billions of microbials, these little bacteria in our intestines. Theoretically, they're outside of our body. They're never really inside of our body because they're in a long tube, and that's kind of how it is. But we feed these things. They're living things. And there is science that suggests that within 24 to 48 hours, if you start feeding those bacteria the right stuff, they will start changing and adapting. And there's different types. So some are feeding off of the good food that you eat, and some are feeding off the bad stuff that you eat. And a lot of the times, a lot of us are really clogged up and have a problem. Now, we have the gut-brain type of equation. And now I'm getting kind of geeky science.
No, it's okay.
But our brains are just like our guts, our digestive tracts. Our immune systems are in our guts. If you want a healthy immune system, you don't want to get sick, you have to feed the bacteria that reward you with having good immune systems. But we don't think that way. We don't see ourselves as vessels to these amazing little microscopic things that actually keep our body running extremely efficient. We have clogged pipes. We are the efficient clogged pipes. We are dirty chimneys.
I know. Man.
And even the chimney, before it burns the whole house down, has to be cleaned every once in a while. But we don't clean our bodies. And we wonder why we get sick, right? With this whole thing that's going on in the world right now, right? And this, pandemic that we've all experienced, and we've all probably, know somebody or whoever maybe, fell victim to it. 56% of those people, or if not more, were obese.
Yeah. I had a bunch of different numbers, but 56 is the nicest one.
Yeah.
I hit up to 84, 78.
And I was going low.
Exactly.
You know, it was a first original study. But like 80, probably more in that range now. 84% of people were obese. But what did we promote this whole time? McDonald's was open. You know what I'm saying? So we have a terrible habit of not looking at the insides of our bodies because we don't see our bodies from the inside out. That's my job. And that's how when I coach, and I'm saying that B group, I'm educating you on how to see yourself from the inside out. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm allowing you to take that first step, that we've gone over. That little bit of, hey, let's clean it out a little bit. See how we feel. And it's not going to take much energy or anything. And I'm not telling you to go to the gym and go pump, become Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't care about that. Because honestly, you don't need it.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. Something that I hear all the time, and I'm sure many people have heard a lot, is that when you want to get fit or healthier or lose weight by in a healthier way, it's kind of 80% what you eat and 20% exercising, right? Although exercising is good for you too. You shouldn't leave it aside. It's not just about eating well and not exercising. It's about doing both. But if you have to really pick where you're going to focus the most, it's in your eating rather than go to the gym, exercise a lot, but keep eating crap. Then you're not getting really, you might lose weight, but you're going to storage back weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Is that what
yeah, absolutely. Okay. And I would say that it even goes down to 80% of what you eat. 15% about your sleep and recovery.
Yes.
And 5% about working out.
Yes.
And why do and how do I teach working out? And how, like, to the B group. The B group. We're not talking about my elite athletes at this time. Yes. We're talking about the B group. How do I look at them? Exercise is overwhelming, right? Remember, we're creating damage in our bodies when we lift weights. Eccentric motions rip the muscle at a micro level. And then we eat protein, and we have carbohydrates, and we have healthy fats. And the healthy fats, the fish oil and things of that nature are decreasing the inflammation. The healthy carbohydrates are creating that sugar to get back into, right, our glucose, to increase those glucose stores. And our protein is going into that nitrogen pool, so the body's taking those building blocks of protein, and we're going to start rebuilding all that muscle again.
And the muscle grows a little.
Exactly, because of the hypertrophy, right? That happens. So we're talking about the B group. Fitness is overwhelming, right? So most people are afraid to go into public gyms. Why? Because a lot of us are overweight, and we feel as if people are judging us.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So now we're not even going to get to that step, because I can't tell you to go on a diet and go to a public gym. Brain exploded. You're not even going to get close. You're going to quit, and by the time you walked out my door, you already quit because you're not doing it. You're not going to, because it's too overwhelming. It's too stressful.
Yeah, because there is people who actually gonna do it, but we're trying to talk right now about
the B group.
About the B group.
The B group.
What is the reason that no more people is losing weight or getting?
Because the normal people have the Google syndrome, and I as I'm listening to you, right, and the information of overwhelming. Go on Google right now. Type in something that's ailing you, and by the time you're done going through the rabbit hole, you think you're dead. Same with fitness and exercise, and same with nutrition. It becomes so overwhelming, and you hit it perfectly on the head. Now, how can I make it perfect? We're not perfect. We're not going to be perfect on our first try. We have to look at it from, let's make changes to that 80%. Let's sleep, because we don't sleep. I'm fall victim to that all the time. I don't know if I have a problem. I don't sleep. I don't know why. Maybe it's just how I got older, and 5 hours for me is good. But if I'm not getting deep REM sleep, I'm not recovering. Again, the gym is irrelevant. So that's the last part of the whole equation. My thing about gym is, if you want to start, take a 15-minute walk every morning. Get up, touch your toes a few times, feel like you're stretched out, go for a walk. Come inside, 15 minutes, 6 laps around your block. Come in, have your coffee, get your day going. Progress from there. Maybe after 2 weeks, it's a 20-minute walk. Then, because you're eating better and you're recovering, right? We're putting a little stress on your heart, which is your ticker. We need strong tickers. All right. And then we introduce the weight loss, the exercise, because what is exercise? The A group, right? Or, maybe some floaters on the fence, the aesthetics, right? We want to look better, whatever. Ultimately, we're, again, going back to how I train my athletes, we don't want to get hurt. We need to be able to pick something up. We have to pick our children up. We have to pick up the groceries. We have to go outside and cut the grass. We have to do things.
Tie your shoes.
You don't want to pull your back out tying your shoes. That would be ridiculous.
Plus, you don't want to be 50 and having to use a walker or something because.
So we're segueing into that because we want functional movements. We want to be part of this whole working to continue our life, focusing on little changes here and getting sleep. When you put those together at the minimal level, you'll start to see results.
Yes.
And that's, I think, how the B group should attack it. That game plan of keep it simple, stupid.
Yes.
Don't cloud the waters. Keep it as simple as possible.
I think that's very important. Finding the way for everybody that want to start is just find a way to keep it super simple. You don't need to get too crazy. Probably the craziest would be counting some calories, maybe like portions. Like don't get a huge steak, get like 6 ounces,
if you and once you learn
stuff like that. But as soon as you just do it for a week, you don't need to put in the balance anymore. You know how it looks. Exactly. 5 ounces, because it's not about being a little smaller or big. It's just about the size.
Exactly. And you learn these visual cues, and that's, the whole thing about it. And I mean, I know you travel and you're, from a different country as well. And you look at those models of how people eat over there, right? They're not supersizing it like we are.
Yes.
You're not going and having a freaking huge plate, and that's like the acceptable portion size. You go to Europe, the plates are normal. We look at that, we go, that's an hors d'oeuvre tray. That's an hors d'oeuvre dish to us. We haven't even had the meal yet. So it's all about the visual cues too, as well. And I tell people, it's maybe use a smaller plate.
How somebody, I know that working out is not the most important thing about the whole package, but it's an important thing for many people. Yeah. Getting fit, if you're a man, let's say you want your arms to look a little toned, you don't need to have huge arms. For some people, they want it. We're not talking about that right now, right? I wanna. My whole point right now is how I become healthier, not how I become huge or muscular. I know you know about that too. Yeah. Probably we can talk about that in different podcast episodes or something. But right now, for me, is how you can become a little healthier, right? That to a point that you learn these new ways and then improve from there or grow from there, right?
I would say master 5 movements. Master 5 movements.
Okay.
Master 5 movements.
Meaning like something for your chest, something for your arm, like
so
press. Or
so if I locked you up in
jail,
right now, and I said, you're never going to see the light of day again, and you wanted to maintain fitness, you're going to do basically 5 basic movements.
Yeah, crunch, push-ups.
Yeah. So you're going to master 5 movements and go from there. I tell all my beginners, master the 5 movements. Master your squat, chest press, try to do some pull-ups. If not, let's find assistant or some type of like TRX or some type of resistant band to be able to learn how to utilize your back muscle. Some ab exercises, planking, right? Master
planks, those movements. Unbelievable. That's something so
simple,
so steady, is so effective, right?
And what we tend to forget is, again, we in America, we do, I would call it just dumb shit. It's just not necessary. Plank challenges and all this nonsense. The body doesn't need to do a plank for like 2 minutes. The body needs to do a correct plank for like 15 seconds. And then you relax. And then you do it again. There is no point in sitting there with lordosis in our back so that all the pressure is going to the top of our butt cheeks and the mid part of our back and never on the abs. Because eventually in 15, 20 seconds, you lose your posture. You're not using your core anymore. You're just holding yourself there, all jacked up. You're not getting the benefit of it. So I tell my beginners, 15 seconds. I tell my athletes, 15 seconds, 20 seconds max. Why? Because that's where you're going to engage the muscle properly. We're looking at engagement, right? And you're starting with body weight. So that's why I say master the 5 movements. You're mastering your squat. And if your squat's a little messed up and your heels come flying off the ground, right? Or you fall over because you don't have
the back
you can practice that. You can stretch. Now we go into a different thing. I love yoga. I think yoga is a fantastic thing.
Mm-hmm.
You go on that thing called YouTube, put it on your TV. You can 5, 20, 15 minutes. They got all kinds of different ones. Work on your flexibility and mobility. Just work on it. And you're getting a good workout because your muscles are being elongated. They're being stretched. And now when I do my 5 movements, I do them better. So therefore, I'm getting stronger. Because now I used to be able to do 10 with my heels off the ground. Now I can do 10 with my heels on the ground because now I'm more flexible. Now the muscle's working in full ranges of motion. So now I'm getting stronger throughout my whole chain, right? And then if you want to start increasing that a little bit, I think of how can we work on the posterior chain. We're always thinking about the front side of our body. How can we do the back side of our body? Take an object, a tire, pull it. Walk with a drag sled. Put a little bit of weight on it and just walk down the block with it. Do something so simple, building all those posterior chain muscles, your lower back, those natures, those types of things. Take during this whole pandemic, right? We did at-home workouts. I said, take some water jugs, take some milk jugs, fill them up with water, do some bicep curls. Start to learn other movements on top of that. Do a renegade row or something that's a little bit more. You have to master it a little bit more, right? So now all of a sudden in a month or two, you got 15, 20 exercises that you could do in any type of variety and get a really good workout. So to go to what you're saying is if I'm the average person that wants to get toned arms and lose a little bit of weight and start feeling better about yourself, 5 movements. Pull up, squat, press, planks, and some shoulders. You've had the major muscle groups. You're going to start losing the weight because you're eating better. You're going to get a little bit more definition because you're now burning a little bit of that fat, but you're also recovering from sleep. And now you start to see results. And it didn't really take that much. And you take 20 minutes and do maybe 4 reps of each or do rounds. I like beginner's rounds because some people aren't even into all the fitness thing where they want to just do a set and relax. You know, the old school bodybuilding, because we don't have a lot of time. We live in America. Everybody's busy all the time. You got to bring kids soccer practice or you know, baseball game or you got a meeting for work or whatever. How do I maximize time? 15, 20 minutes. If I go down and do 50 push-ups in a row, I'm exhausted.
Oh yeah.
My chest is burning, right? And then the next set I could do like 20. And then the next I do like 10. Guess what? That's a good chest workout, right? I do my squats. I do 25. Then the next I do 20. And then the next I do 18. And then my legs are gassed. Or I do some walking lunges or whatever. It took me 20 minutes. I could accomplish the whole thing. And now I have a really sick workout. My muscles were stimulated. I got full range of motion. I got blood in that area. I maybe did some stretching because I was a little tight, so I worked on it. And boom, 30 minutes in and out.
Yeah.
Done.
I was following this app from Adidas that for me was pretty cool because I don't know about exercises, so you have the video, so it show you how to do it, and it tells you like, you know, engage your core, engage your back muscles or whatever, your gluteus or whatever, right? And keep it back straight, go down slowly, pull up with power, whatever it is, right? Play little by little. So you can review each video and then you start the session. Let's say, so the session is going to be like 4 to 7 exercises, X amount of reps for per exercise. It change, right? Like 70 jumping jacks, but suddenly like 10 push-ups, right? And then you have like a clock, and then you do it this 20, and then you click, and then you do this 20. You finish, you rest 1 minute or something, and then you start over again for 4 times.
Nice circuit. It's called circuit.
20 minutes, and you fucking die, man. When I started it, I could barely finish any. Like I have to stop and breathe, like, and sweating, man. And then I got some progress. I was doing much better after some time, right?
Yeah, so the body adapts.
Yeah. Plus, at the same time, I was doing jiu-jitsu and sauna and all of that together. Some yoga or whatever, right? So yeah, your body adapt and you lose weight, so now you can carry that weight, the new weight easier and all of that, right? It was so good. But something that I noticed is that, you don't need like 4 hours, man. you sweat your life off in like 15, 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Even in my programming with my elite guys, I try to say 47 to 56 minutes. I don't want you in here all day.
Cool, man.
It's not beneficial. You're losing gains, or you're losing. We use the slang term gangs. Like we're like the gains, bro. Like, but like you're not maximizing your efficiency after X amount of time.
Mm-hmm. Either you going too slow in between exercises and wasting time, or you overworking. So then you.
But if I'm like an Olympic lifter, right, and I'm geeky sciencing it, and I'm training for an event, and I'm just strictly lifting, and I need that 2 to 3 minutes recovery, or I'm a power lifter because I'm putting maximal stresses on my body. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get the whole hour and a half, 2 hours, because you're training for something.
Yeah.
But if you're the general person, if you're doing more than like a half hour to 45 minutes, you're probably bullshitting on your phone. Let's just call a spade a spade. Like you're answering text, you're on Instagram, you're not really working out, because I could do the Adidas program with you and be just as dead. And I would say I'm a little bit above because I've been working out for so long. Mm-hmm. I'd still be dead and be like 2 to 20 minutes. Like I'm good.
Definitely. It was good for me to follow because, again, I didn't know how to do or what to do. So finding that up, it helped me so much, because even the exercises that I didn't know how to do, even the exercises that I knew how, question marks in there or whatever, that I thought I knew how to do proper, I realized I wasn't doing proper. Like just a plank, for example. Like, no, your back have to be straight, not like your shoulders in or your shoulders out. Like, you have to be straight and tight and all of that. Simple stuff. Like push-ups, don't open your elbows so much to the front because you just
bust up your shoulders
or whatever. So just the simple stuff, man. It was like, oh, look at this. And I could do 10 push-ups. Let's say, for example, right? And then I read all the details. Okay, let me see. And then, my shoulder has to be here. Oh, my hand has to be in front of my shoulder, not too much in the front, too much in the back. Again, I'm beginner, right?
Yeah.
There might be people listening like, I can't do it, whatever. Yeah. Shut up, asshole. You know what I mean? It's like, I need to learn from the beginning, right? So, and then I learned something that it makes such a huge difference, but it didn't come naturally to my mind, knowing that was like, if you're gonna do push-up, for example, and you tie your abs, it's proper to say your abs or your abdomen or whatever.
Yeah.
If you tie your core, you can kind of push easier your push-ups.
Yeah.
When you tighten your core, it's like doesn't make sense, but it works. It's like you do it and you realize, oh my God, how is this working?
Yeah.
It's crazy, right? But those little things help you.
Yeah, I tell my athletes, and I tell all my people, I say, if I had a big like string, right, or we call it the wet noodle analogy, and I said that this wet noodle weighs 100 pounds, and one is on one side of the table, it's super firm, the other one is squiggly. Every time you pick it up, it squiggles. Which one's easier to pick up?
Yeah, you're right. That's just
the straight one.
The straight one. Yeah.
That's how your body operates. And that's why when you're making that cognitive connection when you're doing that, right? Because the body works efficiently when the core is engaged. That's the center point of your whole body. So that's such a great thing that you realized, right? And as a beginner, once you master that, everything around my core needs to be tight. Everything else becomes so much easier and better.
Even to push a squat or something with weight in your shoulder.
You gotta brace.
It's kind of easier, man.
Yeah.
Plus, also, I realized that, let's say, for example, a squat, right? With some weight, because I don't carry too much weight because I don't know what I'm doing yet, right? So I realized if you tie your core and also your butt or whatever, now when you push, you're really pushing with your legs rather than
the lower back.
The lower back or doing some weird, you don't feel pain nowhere else. Let's say you just feel the burning where it should be.
Yeah, because you're doing it properly.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. And again, you don't need a lot, right? And then when you get into geeky science again as a beginner, and you start to learn tempos and things of that nature, which are very easy to understand, you can make those easy bodyweight workouts a lot harder because now you were just slow on the way down and you're working on tempo of the muscle and understanding time under tension and little geeky science things. But again, you don't need a lot of space. Ultimately, what it comes down to is that beginners become so, like we've mentioned several times now, so overwhelmed with trying to be perfect in their workout routines that they just can't start because it's not the fact that they really don't know what they're doing. Like if you gave me that, like if you said like, I don't know what I'm doing, like in like 1996, I'd be like, well, that makes sense because you had to go to the library, get a book, you know,
from the 70s,
or you literally were, you know, Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, or it wasn't at your fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
Everything now. You found an app using this Adidas app. There are hundreds of apps that are now centered around fitness. If you're telling me that you can't get started by watching a video and doing that one thing, it's not that you don't know how to do it. It's because you don't want to do it. And it's not because it's overwhelming in terms of doing it, because now look at what we've created, right? You're telling me as a untrained person who wants to get back into fitness that you've done these things, you've dabbled with these things. Now life takes over and we have these problems in terms of, we fall back into bad habits, and that's why I talk about it being a habit change and a lifestyle change. But even you did it and you looked and you learned something new. You have to just immerse yourself into that. Try it, because you could do it at home. No one has to be there to watch.
Yes.
And you don't have to be perfect, right? And if you only do 5 and the thing says 10, you did 5. And that was better than not doing any at all.
Yes.
And that's what we struggle with. And I think going back to our analogy of the B group and the general person is just, there's an unwillingness to change because we're afraid that we'll fail. And that's a whole nother conversation for another day about our fearfulness as humans and now living in this country to fail. We have a very big mental block when it comes to failure. But failure itself is
one of the greatest things, right?
Exactly. It is so beneficial to learning and is such a great teacher that you have to fail. And going to do those push-ups or sit-ups or whatever, and you only do 3, you go, holy crap, I failed, but here's how I'm going to do better, because it motivates you. And that's that little bit of that kick in the ass that you need.
Yeah. That fail itself is not the greatest part. It's learning out of that. Because many people just fail at whatever they're doing, and they just assume that that's what they are, that fail, and they try to either block that. I'm not going to try anymore. I'm not going to live that pain anymore of failing. I just got to turn around and find something else to do, and that's bad.
Yeah. I think, in my personal opinion, I think a lot of my failures have been my greatest successes.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think those... and I also view the world a lot differently than most people. I have my own set of, moral compasses and things and how I view the world. But, we tend to, I'm going to speak general again. Like, I think you hit it right in the head, is that you're afraid to fail because you feel what society is going to look at you as. Yeah. And that's the same that my analogies when I work with my clients in terms of fitness is that it's called, I try to talk to them as the self-sabotager. You go to a public gym, right? And I'm talking about this failure thing, and I'm just segueing into how I explain my fitness, is you go to the gym and you see someone like myself, and I'm not going to say I'm a really big guy. I would say I'm a little above average because I'm not training for anything anymore. I used to do bodybuilding and I was really big, and I'm looking at in your direction. Meanwhile, I'm thinking about what the hell I'm going to eat for dinner, right? But you locked eyes with me, but I'm not looking at you. You looked at me in my general area. And now all of a sudden, every insecurity that you have comes flying through you, and you're like, oh my God, this bigger person he's clearly a gym guy, he's looking at me. I'm doing this wrong.
He's making fun of me.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
judging. He's judging me. We create these scenarios in our head that are so far-fetched when really no one really honestly, and this is like the truest statement I think I'm probably going to make, is no one really gives a shit about anyone else, because most of the time we're so self-absorbed in ourselves that we are oblivious to about 95% of things.
I think that's something we think that we are so important that we care to others. Yeah. Like, they don't give a fuck, they don't work. And it might be somebody that judges you. Who cares about that? You know what I mean? Who really cares? If somebody's in the gym and that person is fit and he sees somebody walking that is not fit, trying to get better and judge that person, that
You're
guy's
just
such an
an
asshole
asshole.
that you don't even care about that person.
Yeah, but that guy's just an asshole, and
Exactly.
karma's gonna get him eventually.
You know what I mean?
It is
Why
what it
to
is.
care about that person particular?
And honestly, you might have just came at a random time, and that dickhead just happens to be there. So tomorrow he's not going to be there. So don't let it ruin, the rest of your day.
or use as a gasoline.
Yeah.
Use as a gasoline. Just whatever.
But that's what I'm saying. It's all about this whole self-sabotaging and things, and going back to like the failures is, we tend to just think that everyone is always looking at us and judging our failures. Mm-hmm. No one gives a shit about anything that we're doing except for us. Yeah. And that's once you realize that and you figure it out, that helps you take every single step that we've talked about on this on the podcast so far. It makes it easier because you don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's like
focus on you. Focus on you. Focus on you.
Cares?
You don't progress every day, right?
And if you make little, like I tell people, from right now where we're standing, how many ways are there to New York City?
How many?
How many ways are there to New York City from right here?
How many what? Sorry?
Ways.
Oh, ways to go there?
Yeah. How many ways are there?
Okay. Yeah, a bunch. From here, at least 2 main ones to get.
Yeah, but think about it.
And then a bunch of them.
Yeah, but an infinitive amount.
Yeah.
Because every slight deviation away from that straight path is a new journey.
Yes.
And if all you do is take a little step, microscopic, every single day, towards our analogy of New York, guess what? Eventually you're going to get there.
Yeah, you got to get there.
So we don't even want to take the first step because we're always afraid that someone else is going to just run us over with the car and say, and you're going to go, oh, that's it. But if we just little by little by little focus on ourselves, I think you hit it perfectly. Just focus on ourselves and just move forward towards the goal line. Eventually we're there and we're going to have success. And that's going to carry over to our life, to our relationships, to our art, to our shit, even driving a car. Everything will just be better because we're just doing that and we're not afraid.
How important, again, many times I ask stupid questions, I know, but I feel they're important to ask. How important you think is for the average big group person to create goals?
All the time.
Is smart to just jump and do stuff and see where it goes, or it's rather better to have goals?
Have a goal. Have small goals to a big goal.
Yes.
Have your castle, right? Your reachable, your pot of treasure, and every little step along the way, give yourself little markers. So if I want to lose 100 pounds, I'm going to break that up into increments of 5s or 10s. Okay. So here's my goal. Every week, because I know in the beginning, and as a professional, I will tell you, you're going to lose a lot of weight real quick.
Yes.
In the beginning. A lot of water weight and all the bullshit, right? So I want to lose 100 pounds. So you're going to lose a lot of that weight in the beginning. Maybe like 10, 15, 20 pounds. It's going to be like, oh, man, I lost 20 pounds. Yeah, great. After the 21st pound is going to be a nightmare.
I know.
Okay? But if I break it up into little segments of, here's my goal to get to this. I'm going to lose 5 pounds in 2 weeks. And I'm going to reward myself a little bit there. Okay. Now I get to that 5. Maybe I have a little cheat meal, and then I go. I got to now. My total is 30, and I'm going to lose a 10 pounds in 2 months. And this is my goal. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm just going to reach my goal. I don't care, but I'm going to reach my goal because it's attainable. And I get to that now. Now I'm at 50. Okay, so now I'm halfway there, and all I've done is make these little markers along the way, and then I'm gonna I hit another lull, right? Because we hit plateaus and we get life takes over. Okay, this month I'm only gonna do 5, but I've made it to that next goal. Now it's 55, and it's always about. You should always have a goal. There should always be a goal because what the hell is life without a goal?
Exactly. I agree 100% with that. Like. The reason that I ask is because it kind of seems stupid that I know the answer, but I know how important the answer is. And I need to hear it for myself, coming from outside, from somebody that really knows. Yeah. But I also want people to hear it. Because I'm in a point right now where I'm trying to talk to you thoughts that might be in this big group of that big group, right? Yeah. Because I know I belong to that group, and I know I'm not unique. I know I belong to a group of people that think the same way.
There are millions of people like that. Yeah.
And that's what I'm asking the question.
Yeah.
Even though I heard it before, I need to keep listening to it so it reinforce the concept myself. But also I know that might be people that it gotta be beneficial for them too, right? To hear it, to hear like, oh yes, I start losing weight because I know I wanted to lose weight, but it's no goals. It's just I want to do it. It's so hard.
I mean, think about it though. Like, that's not a dumb question at all. There are people that pay $25,000 plus to go to like a Tony Robbins thing. They know the answers.
Exactly.
But they need the kick in the ass.
Yeah.
They need that hearing it from somebody else who's successful in what they do.
Yes.
And some people just need that. So that's not a dumb question. It's not even a dumb question.
Yeah. I got a dumb question, but
it's the question that probably, out of your listeners, there's probably several that are thinking the same thing. They're going, well, let me just hear it from somebody different. Maybe the way that they said it or worded it inspires me to do something a little bit different. Exactly. Because it's all about what resonates with you, and that's why you see the way that everything is in the world. We're drawn to certain narratives in our brains that work best for us, and we follow certain people because that resonates with us. And you might not have had a start. And now you do, and that's our goal is to make, again. See, we're back to goals, right? My goal is to help people take the first step. Yeah. So if I can have out of that 10 people, 2 people make a first step, that's 20%. That's pretty good.
Hell yeah, that's incredible.
That's pretty good,
yeah,
right? And if one of those people, has really good success, they might go out and share that information that I've given them with 10 more people, and then we're all helping each other. And it all goes back to that world of, we're all trying to help each other, and it is all attainable. But the world is so clogged up with shit about fitness and culture and food and all this stuff that we've been talking about for the past hour. It's so impossible for people to start. And I can see completely why we have a B group. There's probably a C group as well. I could probably see why, it is all this, hesitation to start.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why I really said dumb question. I don't really believe in dumb questions.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
I think that any question is a valid question. And my brother teach me very young. He said something like, you'd rather look stupid asking the dumb question once but then know the answer than don't ask
and never know the answer.
And never know the answer. Then you're going to be dumb. You know what I mean?
You are going to be dumb, literally.
Yeah. So he teach me that very young, and I keep that through my whole life until now. And I try to encourage my kids to just ask any question. No question is no value,
And what's funny is talking about questions, I feel like nobody wants to ask questions these days.
I know, right?
I don't know. I really don't know why. Like I actually was thinking, I was thinking about this on the way here. Like, we don't ask questions. We just don't. We don't ask the questions because I think, one, I don't think we want to know the answers, really. I think we want to live in this like phony make-believe world that we kind of like created for ourselves. Yeah. Because I think ultimately truth and what the answer is that we seek isn't what we actually want to do. And that ties into what we were talking about with fitness. Yeah. Because we create the bubble that we live in. We like our bubble. It's the homeostasis bubble. This is our bubble. We like our life. We like the things that we do. We like our friends. We like our food. We like our drinks. We like everything. And we don't want anyone to burst that bubble. And that little bit of truth bursts our bubble. So we will block that. It's hard. We will die on that sword to make sure that no one bursts our bubble. And that's what happens because we don't want to ask the questions. We just don't want to hear the truths because we know the truths. And that's what goes back to the question. You were like, I know the answer to this, but I need to hear it again. And a lot of people hear it again but want to block it because they just know it ultimately to be true. And we all know that, on either side of the fence, something stinks in terms of our food, right?
For example.
Yeah. Like what we are eating and consuming just isn't good. It tastes delicious, and there's people who capitalize billions of dollars off of our poor decisions. But we ultimately know that the things that we're consuming are not good for us. Exactly. We just don't want to burst our own bubble. Yeah,
no, man. I ask questions all the time.
I love it.
And most of the time, I have to say to people, listen, if I ask you something that is inappropriate, don't tell me, Javier, you crossed the line, stop it. Because I like to know. It's the only way. If I want to know something about you, I don't want to assume. I'd rather ask you.
Yeah, right? why would you? I mean, assuming makes an ass out of you.
Yeah, right? But many people create a whole story about who you are based on the way how you, I don't know, make a phrase expression all the time, like me, like always, like how you call this?
Frowning.
Frowning.
Yeah.
And they already assume that you are this or that. For example, just simple stuff like that. Or they see you successful walking around with a suit or whatever. They assume like, this guy might be a NASA from the finance world. You might be the biggest sweetheart with a lovely family or whatever. But people just assume.
Yeah.
It's rather take the time, just ask questions. And you got to learn about the person. You got to learn about yourself in the process.
Hence this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
What are we doing? We're talking, getting to know one another, right? And podcast curiosities, and that's the beauty of it. Like, you know, and that's why I think when we started talking about podcasts, you know, when I first met you, you know, because I have one as well, and it's like, you know, what was the concept behind it? Just talking, figure it out. Just talking to people, hanging out, having stories, learning people, because then you don't assume about people. You learn about people.
Yeah,
and you understand that people are unique and everyone has their own story and their own things. And you have these creative minds that can, you know, inspire you to do something, or you learn something, or you don't learn something, or you're like, I'm probably going to do the opposite of that guy. But, you know, it's all about that whole human interaction that I find that we've been actually being told to strip away from ourselves. And it's sad, I think.
Yeah, it's just that the way how we live life nowadays, man, everything is so fast and so busy that you don't really have the time to really sit with somebody and talk. I'm fortunate about my career because I spend 7-8 hours with a client, so we talk a lot of shit. But something that I've already realized with this podcast, man, is that it gives me the opportunity to really dig into people's life, you know? And I don't know if that's good or bad, because I like kind of no privacy. I just go in and start asking questions. But no, definitely, man. I learned so much. I think this episode is gonna be the number 10, I think. And man, on every episode, I would say, let me think. All the episodes has been with people that I know, right? But I don't really know. It's just people that I know from, like, my last episode is a friend from a tattoo convention. So we see each other in conventions, say hi, and then we see each other work, and that's it. I don't know where he come from. Talking to him, I learned that his parents, his mother took him somewhere, then his family have to go and grab him because he was kind of dying there when he was so little, very bad, mistreated and all of that, and then he grew up in this home, then his father died or went to prison, came out of prison. So it's a whole story that he tells me, man, I didn't know any of that. And there is no way for me to know. And he have thousands of followers that love his work, and I'm sure that nobody knew any of these.
You know, because I mean? You know, we don't walk around with billboards saying, like, here's my life. Exactly.
But my whole idea when I started the podcast, it was getting to know people more about my friends and clients and stuff, having interesting conversation that might help somebody else too in that process, right? But for me, it was important. That was the idea, thinking, right? That everybody, like many people is right now in a stage, many people, not everybody, but many people is in stages of their life right now that they feel like, fuck, it's no solution. And I'm in this deep hole, there is no way out.
Yeah.
We cannot help everybody.
No.
But if this podcast in some point reach one or two people that they feel like, oh my God, look at this guy, for example, this tattoo artist. He was in a very bad starting point, and now he's worldwide famous and make a great living. He has his own daughter, his own wife, his own home, his own tattoo shop, right? It's possible. No, you don't need to be a tattoo artist. You need to find what you are and find a way to monetize, or at least live that life, being happy doing what you are, right? And this happened to many of my guests, right? Some of them started in a better point, but they weren't, for example, another tattoo artist, super famous right now. He come from a good family. It doesn't mean that he was famous or a successful artist when he started it. He created his whole career and life and get to this point. So for me, it's important to present who people is and how they become who they are and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's super important. I mean, you know, like for my own personal experience, like I come from a blue collar family, you know, and I was talking about, you know, a few segments ago in terms of, how I view the world is different, right? I don't view money to me is irrelevant. I can give two shits about it. Mm-hmm. I know you need it to survive because that's the world that we've created, but I don't give a shit about it. Like, it doesn't bother me. Like, I would rather give you the shirt off my back or give you free information or be your friend or talk to you than any type of me handing you some type of money, because it's bullshit. It's irrelevant. But when I started my business with negative $236 in my pocket. Ask me how that's possible. I don't know. Yeah. I took a chance. I was at one of the lowest parts of my life in terms of I had nothing to my name. Zero. Nothing. Zero. And at that point in my life, I was like, what do I do? What do I do? I've done a lot of crazy shit that I'm not even going to say on this podcast because it's probably a family podcast. So, but in terms of hustling to make it work, to put money in my pocket so that I could put gas in my car and go to work and try to create a paycheck. But, at that point in my life, I had been fired from the public gym because I had a strong viewpoint about something, about fitness that they didn't like. They wanted it to be about their ways of selling and not having the human experience in it. And I said, no, my clients are these people rely on me. They want the truth. Me sugarcoating it and selling them a bunch of bullshit is not the right way to run a business, in my opinion. If you come to me and I tell you a fucking fairy tale and blow smoke up your ass and tell you the best thing ever and take all these freaking supplements that don't work and all this bullshit, am I helping you?
Yeah.
No. I'm selling you garbage. I'm selling you a lie. I couldn't do that. That's not me.
Exactly.
I'm a straight fucking shooter. I'm going to tell you how it is, and that's the end of the damn day. And I'm going to tell you that most of this shit is all bullshit, and I'm going to dummy it down to my 3 key points. But I was fired, and now I'm like, what the hell do I do? And I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity, but I started a business with negative money. I didn't have an effing I had no clue about business, right? Zero, none. And literally, I was handed keys to a startup position. There was some equipment in there, and the guy literally looked at me and goes, "You got 2 weeks." I got no money. I have no support line. I don't even have any clients. What the hell do I do? And the rent check is due in like 3 months. They're like, we'll give you a little time to get it going, but $2,200+ is going right to us. So you better figure it the fuck out. Right. So again, going back to your tattoo artist who, maybe had a little bit of a different situation, right? In terms of, his struggles, we all have little struggles. And I think it comes back to your point of, there are a lot of people who think right now with everything that's going on in the world that they are at the bottom. But if they just, like you said, and I think you've hit everything really square on the head. And I think this is why this podcast can be super successful, is that if you just find what you're passionate about and take a shot in the dark, what's the worst that happens? If you're at the bottom of the barrel, you miss, you're just going back to the bottom of the barrel. There's no real,
not trying it will be the worst. Like not taking the time to think who you are and trying to find a way to monetize that. Monetize, I don't mean it because money is the most important thing, but because you really need a career.
Yeah, and but you want to be passionate about it. Exactly. You want to be able to go to work every day and be like, this isn't work, this is fun. Exactly. You're doing art every day, and I'm sure you love it. I have like my gym / barbershop because we just shoot the shit and have fun. Like that's not working. I'm not getting in a car like miserable, like sipping on my mug of coffee that I made and pissed off because I gotta go to New York and sit in traffic for 4 hours, and then I gotta come home and my kids and my wife, and I missed the games, and you ever like look at people in traffic?
Yeah, man.
They're robots.
Yeah, I do all the time.
I'm sitting there in traffic the other probably 6 months ago, and this lady just happened to just catch my eye. She was the most miserable human being I have ever seen in a car. I mean, it was kind of laughable. Like, I'm like, this lady looks miserable. Yeah. Man. And I said to myself, I said, what the hell could motivate me to look that miserable? to sit in this car. You know, she probably went in traffic for all that hour and a half, 2 hours to go to an office. By the time in my brain, I'm thinking, if I got to that office 2 hours, I'm already pissed off. I said, someone might die. Like, I wouldn't be able to handle it. Yeah. But it's like, you ever just look at those people and you're just like, oh, this isn't living.
I know, man. Some people like it. I don't know. Some people like being in traffic. Some people like going to the city. I hear it. I don't know if they're bullshitting, but I hear it from people. Like, they love that. They love having that time, that drive. Yeah. But I hear that so little, I mean, there's
there's outliers on every side.
Because most people is like, they hate it, man. That commute every day, getting home when the kids are already sleeping, having to leave home in the morning when the kids haven't wake up. Again, some people, they have nannies that don't even give a fuck about those kids.
Exactly.
Don't bother me today, whatever.
Exactly.
Man, I cannot imagine. When I come home and Andres is already sleeping because I was working late that day, I feel like incomplete. Yeah. Because we have a routine. I put into bed every night. We read. You know what I mean? We talk about the day. I try to make it home that we can hang out.
Yeah, exactly.
With quality time. Do bullshit around. Watch TV or whatever, right? Yeah. If I come earlier enough, we go to the parks or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But when I cannot do it because I overwork or I have to go to a convention and don't be at home for a couple of days, I miss that. Man.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I definitely don't want to change what I do. Yeah. First, my tattoo shop is 5 minutes from my house. Yeah. And the restaurant is also 5 minutes from my house. And from my shop, it's like a triangle. Yeah. And I could easily move upstate and find a bigger house for the same price. The house where I live that is small and have more property and bigger rooms. But I will be farther away from my home and having to commute and not being there on time for my kids. It doesn't make sense to me, right? No. Again, some people make sense. Respect everybody do their own. I'm talking about what it makes sense to me.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is what it makes sense to me. Being close to home and having more quality time, right?
Yeah, I just think it's super important to
definitely
have priorities.
I see people miserable having to work and all that. So going back to what we were saying is that, find something that you're passionate about and go for it and do it, because we spend so much time working. Like I tattoo. Now, because the podcast, I'm taking one day to do the podcast and not tattooing. And man, I feel so happy of doing it. Because the podcast is not making money to me, but it's giving me so much intellectual pleasure, having the opportunity to talk to people, learn, thinking that I'm sharing something important with other people, that fulfills me. So, I'm losing a full day of tattooing for this. I don't give a fuck. I'm happy, and that counts to me a lot, right? Yeah. And now it's one more day that I miss tattooing, that when I go to tattoo, I'm even more excited of being there.
Yeah, and also it goes back to what we talked about, the human experience. Now that we don't have those experiences outside of work, right? Because not a lot of people get together a lot anymore like it used to be because we're so busy and all these things. This podcast is that, Phil. Yeah. Yeah, the social interactions that we had at the bar, right, and the communication skills that we developed is now this one-on-one intimate setting in front of these things, and we're just sending it out to the world, as opposed to I saw somebody talk to somebody, then I saw somebody else the next day and we talked about it. And that was, what's funny was that was our thought process when we started our podcast, right? We call it The Last Call, right?
Yeah, tell me a little bit about your podcast so people get to know about it.
So we're The Last Call podcast, and it's my brother and I, and we talk about basically what we're talking about right now. We came up with the idea of...
sorry to interrupt. One second. So what is your brother and your name in the podcast? So it's The Last Call?
Yeah, it's called The Last Call podcast, and you can...
Because it's a few. Remember when we look, it's a few with similar names?
There's about 50. Oh, shit. Yeah. It's unfortunate, and I thought I was original, but apparently not. But ours is distinguished by 2 mugs and our gym logo inside of a hockey arena. And our whole concept was to talk about the social interactions that we'd have at a bar at closing time. Come up with a unique point or a guest that maybe you bumped into at the end of the night, and you want to talk to them about their experiences and their thing, but then the bar closes. It's called The Last Call, and then we invite you on the show because then we want to continue the conversation. And we were just doing this, spitballing it, and I know when I had gotten tattooed by you, we had just started it, and it was just like, again, finding people that were creative or we knew to come on and talk about it as if we were in that bar environment. What we do a little bit different is we I usually buy dinner for everyone. So we eat, we break bread, and then we have a few cocktails to loosen, the whole environment. But it's like kind of being at a bar. So awesome. I get kind of the bar food. We do like wings or tacos or whatever. We pick a restaurant. And I'll ask my guests. I'm like, hey, what kind of alcohol you like or whatever. And we'll, I like, so and so, whatever, Busch Light or I don't know. And grab a case and we all like break bread and like kind of act as if it's that bar environment, and then we just bullshit and spitfire from there.
That's super cool.
Kind of like whatever, but we're just trying to get to know the experiences, and we're asking the questions to have that storyline continue of everyone has a unique story, everyone has a unique thing, and because of the fast environment that we've talked about several times here in our lives, and how we're so clogged up in our phones and business, and now that we work from remote, there's no excuses not to always be like working, apparently. I wanted to take a step back from that and just be like, hey, let's have a conversation. Who are you? Like you were saying about your podcast. And I think that was kind of our whole concept behind it. And I think that a lot of the podcasts are kind of the same. I'm no Joe Rogan. And I don't have like cool celebrity people coming on, but I think everyone in their own unique way, including yourself, has a really awesome story. Now, if we flip the tides and I was on, we were on my podcast, I'd be asking you similar questions. Where are you from? Like, how'd you get into art? All these things. And that itself is a really cool podcast, because I'm sure your clients as well don't know, about you and your stuff, because you're now the interviewer, right? So you're interviewing everyone else, and we're talking about our lives, and it's like, how could we know about your life? So and you have the other podcast that you come on, and and then it's like everyone's sharing all this cool information and things, and I think it's just such a unique new way. I think it is like the new way to get stories.
It's super cool, man. That if anybody want to do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just get your phone and you can do it.
It's
if
a
you don't
want to
go crazy with all of this, you can do it with your cell phone. That's how I started planning with my cell phone in the tattoo shop. But little by little, I realized in the tattoo shop, people is walking in and out all the time. There's going to be too many interruptions, the noise. I cannot play music in the background for my clients because the rights, then I cannot put it directly with the music. So it was complicated, getting more complicated doing it that way. But at the beginning, it was just that. You can do it just with your cell phone, literally just with your cell phone.
Yeah.
If you want to go a little farther, a cable microphone close to your face, you want to put the cell phone a little farther, and that's all. If you want to go a little more, a light. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Little by little. You don't need to do crazy stuff. And you can do your own podcast and talk. Because what I feel is so interesting is that before we were limited, but we will have to watch what people put in TV for us. And a lot of the time, you don't agree with all of that. It's bullshit, it's filtered, it's cut. People cannot even talk because they get interrupted every minute. And conversations are like 2 seconds and out, next person, whatever. You never got nothing. You wait some time. Like, they invited this skateboarder that I like for the TV show. And I waited it all day because I knew it was going to be at 8 p.m., right? And I waited all day for that moment. I'm talking back in the days. No cable, probably just cable TV, not like Netflix or anything like that. Then finally the interview time comes. The show starts. And it's like they talk about anything else. That person that I wanted it to watch is not even there. It's just the guy probably interviewing somebody else. And then go to commercials. And then you wait and wait. Then finally, 5 minutes, the end of the show, they get the person that you want to see the interview. They're asking, so what's up? You do skateboarding? Yeah, I do that since I was 14. Awesome. Shout out to this guy. Next time, see you tomorrow with that. What the fuck?
Yeah.
That guy make you wait all day long. The interview lasts 2 seconds out. They didn't even ask anything about this guy.
You didn't even know the guy now. It's like
nothing.
Yeah.
And then out. And then you have to now with this thing it's like, I mean, I am interested about getting healthier and losing weight and get a little fit. I gotta find some of my clients or friends that know about that and invite them over and have a conversation. I gotta learn.
Yeah.
Hopefully gotta fucking knock my head so hard that I gotta finally get it in.
Yeah.
And keep it recorded and throw it in the internet.
Yeah.
And the internet is big. Space is there. I'm not taking nothing for nobody. I'm actually throwing something else there.
You're giving people an outlet too. And I think, with you, trying to get on this journey of, your own fitness and having myself on for the podcast, maybe there is something that resonates with you or that you can take the step and then it helps the people like we talked about. But I think it's also important to, you're just reinforcing a lot of the things that you've already decided that are important. Now, you're a very successful person, so there's a lot of time and energy that's required in other avenues. So it's, again, going back to like what we were talking about, and that finding that little bit of space throughout your day to do you me time. And I think once you find that me time and you find a routine that works, again, with the habits and the routine, I think you'll see such a great result because you also have children as well. Yeah. So here's the thing. You want them to be healthy and maintain a good lifestyle and whatever. And you can also use that as motivation as well, which, I use with my clients as well. Invite your kids into the conversation. Invite your kids into that exercise routine. Show them what you're learning because to a kid, you're Superman, right?
Yes.
Or you're Superwoman if you're, and they look up to you and rely to you. So if you instill healthy and positive things on them, they're already well above what you were.
Yeah, man. Like my daughter is 13, and we've been talking about she want to start going to the gym. So she doesn't want to go with the mom because the mom, I don't know, no patience or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So we went together already, I think once, and then vacation came. So the goal is that now we're gonna start going to the gym together. So for me, it's very, very exciting that she wants to get into that path already being 13 and actually motivates me and make me feel responsible. I cannot say, I don't want to go. Like now I feel like, okay, I have to go too. Even if when I feel lazy, just because I have to do it for her too.
Yeah.
And when I was doing exercises at home, in the basement, I had a little area set up because I was doing jiu-jitsu. So I have mats to do all the rolling and stretching.
Yeah, we do jiu-jitsu at the gym.
Oh, cool. So I have the mats in my basement, and then I had an area with like a yoga mat too, smaller, to do exercise. I was doing the push-ups, the crunches, all of that in that area. My son was looking at me, and now he started doing it too. And in his school, the teacher every day take a little moment to do like, okay, son, jumping jacks. I love it, man.
Yeah.
I hope now he's going to first grade. Fucking time flies. And I hope they keep doing it there because then he was coming home and he was like that. Let's do exercises. So he's tried to do push-up. He's little, right? Yeah. He cannot do it very well, of course. But you see him getting in position and doing like.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Or trying to do a jumping jack. And so now he's asking me and showing me to do it. So, okay, let's do a couple of push-ups. Because I don't want to say like, no, I don't do that shit. Because then, what I'm teaching, right? But just the fact that I have to keep that in the back of my head that I cannot teach wrong. Like he fucking McDonald's, man. He every day I want McDonald's, but it's because of the toys and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And every video he like to watch in YouTube or whatever, it got something to do with McDonald's, the commercials or the kids playing with McDonald's or whatever. So every day I have to explain to him McDonald's is not good. You can get now and then something, I know the toy, but whatever, it's not good food. It's garbage food. So my life changed because of my kids, right? I don't want to I have to be careful with what I think and how I approach stuff now because of them, right?
Yeah.
So that goes to what you were saying, right? Now I have the kids and now I have to find the motivation to do. So now it's a family stuff. So
yeah, and that's that's so important in finding your own journey, back into fitness because it is sometimes hard to self-motivate and we can go in circles forever. And eventually at the end of the day, we can all just continue to be like, oh, maybe tomorrow, the next day. But when your child or, children are interested in it, right. And that Superman equation, right. They're your biggest fan and you're their biggest fan. So you motivating them is motivating you. So like when you go with your daughter to the gym and you have little healthy competitions and doing things and then you're losing weight and you're eating because now she's eating better or whatever, and your son is doing the push-ups. So now you want to do the push-ups. You've already taken the step. Like, and there's, again, you don't realize it's a step, but it is a step. And I think other people listening, may or may not have children. And yes, it's hard at first. Maybe some people are very severely overweight that are listening to this. And that's why I said, the 10 minutes a day of walking. It doesn't have to be a run. Everyone thinks that you got to go out and become like, some kind of runner or something. But just walk. take your children for a walk, or walk to the park as opposed to driving to the park, or like buy a bike as well and bike with them and teach them skills, or like go for a hike, or find something that is hidden in something else in another teaching lesson, or even hopscotch, or, playing catch or basketball or whatever, something that could be fun and family oriented, with everyone involved, or, tennis or pickleball or something, and you are incorporating fitness without actually saying it's fitness. And then you're eating a little bit better. So, and I tell my clients, like, if you like McDonald's and you like burgers and you like fries and you like these things, they're all alternatives in terms of still having that, but just a little bit healthier options. So making like paleo nuggets, and using cookie cutters, if the kids like the dino nuggets and things, like flatten them out and cut them out with cookie cutters, and then all of a sudden you bread them, and then they could still have that kind of like formation of those little animals that they like, but now they're healthier. What you put on them. Maybe it was an almond flour or coconut flour or whatever, because now you're more organic or whatever. But that's a little step, because parents, what do? They nibble off their kids' food all the time. Right. My moms, that I train, shout out to all my moms that I train. They're always saying that, like, my kid had mac and cheese or something I was making, and I took like 10 scoops full. But if you made it a little bit healthier, then you don't have to feel as guilty. You know what I'm saying? So it's all these little things. And I think that, with that B group being so extensive, I think there are so many avenues to get it started. And I think, what we're saying here is actually extremely beneficial to all of them. And I think it's important.
Let me ask you something, going very back to, I have two questions. I think are important. I think I heard a noise. Anyway, about goals, right? This question comes to my mind. One, when we know you have to set a goal, like your castle you mentioned as the castle where you really want to go, and you have to set a bunch of small goals, not just that one goal, because you need to feel that you're getting progress, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Accomplish steps, right? In your opinion, this is your opinion, how crazy have to be that castle goal? You feel like it have to be something like too easy, or have to be something very hard to reach? It have to be your goal there, or have to be something easy?
I think it needs to be realistic.
Yes, and when you succeed in those smaller goals, it's good to get like gratification, like treats, like how you say, like
positive, like reinforcement type of stuff.
It's good to get something like a cheating meal or something. I tell
my clients all the time, in terms of their goals, they might have a favorite food that they like, and I'm like, listen, we're not going to eat that favorite food until we reach our goal, and then we'll have some. But here's the thing: if you're making your progress with your goals, all right, and you're eating cleaner, when you get to that cheat day, you'll feel so rewarded about the fact that you've made such great progress, you lost weight, or your pants were bigger, that a lot of times my clients won't even eat that cake or that cookie or that ice cream, or they eat a little bit of it. The next day they text me like, dude, I feel like shit. But then all of a sudden the next goal isn't about the food anymore. It's like, I'm going to go out on a date with my husband and I want to wear this dress, or I'm going on I'm going somewhere with the girls and I want to look good. So now they buy that dress that's maybe 1 or 2 sizes too small, or the guy buys a shirt that he would never fit into, or he's going to have a suit made because now he's a different person, right? And so that now the next goal switches, like your little reward system changes a little bit, or hey, I'm really feeling good, so I maybe my midterm goal of that is I'm going on vacation and I want to look good for the pictures, and maybe that's the goal now. So so yes, I think rewarding yourself for hard work is super important.
Right?
You should never not feel good. You should always want to feel good. That's why we say if there's a birthday, like going back to what I said earlier, if there's a birthday party or you're on vacation, don't restrict yourself. You are put on this earth to have experiences with friends, family, and loved ones, right? Eat it. It's not going to kill you, because it's not going to ruin your progress. You're going to be a little bit bloated, but again, because we're going to go right back to it. Yes, if you have
important,
if you go back to it, you can enjoy it. right? But that's how we're teaching ourselves, right? We're not going to hold ourselves back, but we're going to get right back on the train the minute we go. And in terms of our castle and our goal and realistic expectations, I'm a dreamer. I've always been a dreamer. I always will be a dreamer. I'm always dreaming of the highest possibility. Like, for me, my dream would be traveling the world. And I don't even necessarily need to travel the world, but having the freedom to travel and be my own person, but do it through my sports, like through training my athletes, because I get no better enjoyment than to go see some of my guys play who are pro. Like the feeling that I get from watching them be successful and knowing I had just the slightest to do with that is like the most unbelievably amazing experience for me. And it's not for everybody, but for me, it's like, holy shit. Like the things that I'm doing are paying off and they're having success. Therefore, I know what I'm doing is working. So my goal would be travel and see these guys, but have the flexibility to do some, but have a successful business that's running itself, because in order to have a successful business, you have to come up with these systems. And if my systems are working, it doesn't necessarily need me, but I can still be there for everyone. So that's my goal. So whatever that goal may be for you, and I'm, like I said, I'm a dreamer, put it into a dream, but a realistic expectation. To me, in my progression, Aries, way thus far in 7 years, that's not a far off possibility, but I still have to work to get there. But if I'm saying, okay, well, I'm going to turn into Arnold Schwarzenegger and be a movie star and, live this life of, fantasy, that's maybe a little bit unattainable. So every time I'm not close enough there, I'm going to draw back on myself and be like, well, this is stupid. I'm never going to get there because it's just too unattainable. Right. So we have to have realistic expectations when we're doing things too.
So I always notice that when you hear somebody like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? I just hear to him talking, I would say to a graduation class maybe or something, a short video. And he's saying all of this like, create your goals as big as possible and go for it. Look at me, I did this and that. And yeah, he's right. He did it, right? Man, how I can say this? It's realistic to create those kind of goals? Like,
Arnold Schwarzenegger is a different example, right? He had a lot of help along the way. Now he had a lot of help.
We agree. We agree and understand he did a lot by himself. Like meaning he became a bodybuilder and then his career opened a lot of doors for him and he become
But if Jim Weider never goes over to Austria and discovers him and pulls him from that, Arnold Schwarzenegger is a nobody. He never becomes anything.
It's a whole mix of
or Joe Weider, sorry.
Of maybe you. It's okay to count that good luck had to maybe happen to many people, but you have to be ready for that good luck to hit you.
You have to always be prepared to jump on an opportunity when it presents itself. Yes. And I think that's different in terms of the goal, because when opportunity presents itself, you have to strike. And the people who are the most successful strike while the iron's hot. So if Joe had gone over to see Arnold, right, and Arnold had been like, working a job and doing things, and despite he was huge and had this great physique, if he had stumbled a bit and said like, oh, I don't know, had questions, and that opportunity passed by, we might never know Arnold to be Arnold Schwarzenegger right now, or Sly Stallone, or any of these people that we look up to, because they took advantage of their opportunities when they presented themselves. When reaching our goal, right, or having that goal like Arnold, right, having that huge far out goal that's way out there, you can reach there, but every time that opportunity presents itself, you have to grab it. And I think that's what we lose. Like we think like, well, they just, worked diligently, which they did, but every time an opportunity presented itself, they jumped on it. Like
they took it, and they were very smart about the opportunity.
And they were ready for it. And I think preparation for the goal is also just as important as the goal itself.
Yes.
We don't prep for that success. We don't understand it. A lot of us, I'd say I'm going to go on a 90% of us really don't prep for that. If right now me and you were thrusted into the limelight, would we be prepared for that? What about if our goal was given to us right this second? Would we be prepared? We'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because we have to prep along the way to able to take advantage of those opportunities. I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's what I want to know. Your opinion, of course. So I feel like it's important to create goals for yourself, and they can be as unrealistic as you want. Always, if you're really planning to go to it.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, for example, my goal was moving to America. It wasn't my goal, but it became my goal in some point, moving to America to become a painter. I wanted to do paintings, and in Venezuela, it was hard for me to buy materials, and in the small town where I live, to show people the art that I was doing, people was like, what the fuck is that? And I thought, okay, if I go to America and again in one of the big cities like New York or something, and I paint enough and I show and talk to galleries, maybe I can find the opportunity for myself, right? I gotta do it. And I moved to America and I was painting all the time. I didn't speak English. I was still illegal, all of that. And I was working construction. But I was still painting all the time, looking for the opportunity to find a gallery in some point, right? And I didn't know how to. I didn't understand the world of art at all, right? And then I talked to a gallery. They gave me an art show, and I did some shows, and the show moved to different galleries in the area. So it was going well, but it wasn't selling enough. So I still have to work construction. And then tattooing showed up. And I wasn't pursuing to be a tattoo artist, even though I knew how to do tattoos in my house. Some of my friends had tattoo and stuff, little, but I wasn't serious about it. Just more money to do more paintings. That was in my goal, in my mind. So tattooing showed up, and I took the opportunity as a temporary thing to make some money because I was broke as fuck, and to buy more materials.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized, oh wait, I can do art and get appreciated for doing art and getting paid every day to do this stuff, so I don't have to work construction. So I loved the idea. I took the opportunity, and here we are now, right?
Mm-hmm.
12 years later or 11 years later, I'm a full-time tattoo artist and on my shop and stuff, right? So I didn't plan for that goal, but this happy accident occurred in the same art world, and when I was getting prepared for it, right? So even though I wasn't getting prepared to be a good tattoo artist yet, I was getting prepared to be a good artist. So I was drawing and painting all the time, reading and learning.
You were prepared.
Arts. Yes, I was prepared for the opportunity that came, and I catch it.
Yeah, and now and if you told your former self that now you'd be a world-renowned tattoo artist, respected in tattooing and owning your own shop and owning a restaurant, doing all these things, you'd probably, if I went back and told you that when that age of the idea to go to America, you'd be like, no, bro, not happening.
Yeah.
Like that, no. I'm going to be a painter, right? Because that was the goal.
That was the goal.
But all of our goal, and again, this goes to goals and goal orientation, like, envisioning things. The happy accident and everything that happened is just because you were so prepared that you could take a kind of a slow, a little bit of a turn, and it actually was exactly what you were supposed to be doing. And that we can go into, in my opinion, would be like divine type of interventions in terms of the world and the energies and everything that, goes along with that. But again, you had a goal. There was a goal in place.
I think my goal is I think tattooing is actually my goal becoming real, but I didn't.
You didn't plan on it being that way.
I didn't announce my goal so clear. So basically, I thought my dream was to become a painter, and kind of didn't happen. Even though I paint and still sell some paintings now, but I paint more for pleasure. I don't need to, you know what I mean, produce art for galleries or anything like that. But I think if my goal was announced as I want to become successful living out of art, then I did my goal. I'm living out of art.
Yeah.
I'm doing art as a living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my goal is kind of the same. But I say I want to be a painter instead of saying I want to be an artist.
Yeah.
If just the little thing switch in my original goal, it's like I did it. I made it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
here.
And it's like it goes back into like fitness. Like I want to have 6-pack abs, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, you became extremely healthy. You might have had a 4-pack of abs. You didn't have a 6-pack of abs. But that was the goal.
Healthier.
But you reached the goal of being super healthy and super in shape because that was the goal the whole time. It wasn't the abs. Exactly. It was to get into shape. So that's kind of the same analogy in fitness. So all of those things, you know, that you
sometimes we make that announcement a little off. Let's say, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Because ultimately we don't know because it's a goal, right? It is kind of a fantasy idea. It's all of it is something that we hope to strive towards in the future. It's a futuristic thing.
Yeah, it's not material. You cannot grab it so
it's
tangible that you can say this is what I want. It's just more like an illusion, like a dream.
Yeah,
right? Like,
and it's a dream.
I want to be that, do that when I grow up.
And I think having, like I said before, being a dreamer, especially for myself, I think it's important to have dreams and aspirations and goals. And I think, you know, in today's world, we're stripping a lot of people of their goals and dreams and aspirations because we're telling them that this kind of falling into this segment line or assembly line of work is kind of the way to go. And this is why I love stuff like this, the podcasts and the YouTubes and the people going out on their own and telling to kind of shove it to the man, kind of like, hey, you know, I'm going to go out and now we're creating a whole new generation of people that can now have goals and dreams again. It's not so much societal norms, and I like that. I think it's great because I think it blossoms all industries out of just full creativity, like the health and field. Yeah, it's polluted with a bunch of, you know, sometimes meatheads or people that are, you know, just trying to hit it for money. But it also inspires other people that maybe were working for a company to come in and now want to really do that, to like prove to those other people like this is the best way. Now you have more information. And with art, you know, people that maybe were doing art for like a big company, you know, doing like designs and stuff. Now they branch off and they make the art field stronger. And then, you know, music, instead of like, you know, doing it for this, like these people create music for themselves and put it on and teach people how to do it. And I think
that's a great example. Music, man, because nowadays many artists are coming out by themselves, making music out of the bedroom with just a keyboard or just a computer, and they write some lyrics and start singing it.
Yeah.
There is this girl my daughter likes a lot. Every time I try to think a name, it's like Ali. What is her name? Man, my wife also like her. They're gonna be like, really? You forgot the name?
Yeah.
Billie Eilish.
Oh, Billie Eilish.
Billie Eilish. Sorry, because I forgot the name. It's just me with names. Like she started with her brother in their own bedroom that is smaller than this studio. You know what I mean? And look at her.
Yeah.
So the thing is that now kids can start making music. And it was this other kid from Long Island that he passed, and I forgot his name too. I'm sorry, guy. Sorry to all his fans because he passed. But he also started making music himself in his computer in his bedroom, and people start listening on YouTube and explode. Now he's huge and big, and they don't need the big industry to tell them what to do and how to do it. They just did what they felt, and people follow them because
they had a dream, they had a goal, they had something in mind that they wanted to be the best, and they were rewarded for being talented, not so much by a corporation or organization. They were rewarded by the fans. And I think that is something that is super important. So I think that goes back to the dreaming and the goals and the goal setting. And then for the people listening that, you know, maybe are down on their luck or they're, you know, don't have a starting point, I think just do it for you and your goals and your dreams and your aspirations in life to be whatever you want to be and accomplish those things. And you will. It will take time, and there will be a lot of ups and downs, but you have to just take that with a grain of salt, that for every up, there's probably a down, and for every step forward, there might be 3 steps back. But if you continue to, you know, drive towards that goal, just like when I tell my athletes, you want to get stronger, you're going to get buried by that bar a few times. It's okay to fail. And again, we talked about the failure, and I think it all coincides with like health and fitness, life, music, art, business, travel. Everything is connected in this whole sense of once you discover who you are as a person, and we search our whole lives for that, what are we here for? But once you have an idea and you have the goals and the set and the mindset of that, you're more prepared and more focused. And again, that preparation, we're always taking strides. And when this opportunity presents itself, we jump on it. And
that part is very important, man. Sorry, I think I interrupt. Sorry.
No.
Like, we so accustomed to just see the final product of everything that we assume like, oh, they made it so easy. But it's not true, man. Everybody that got to a point, for sure, they went through downs in that process. It's just that they kept going, you know. Yeah. Once you hit down, they kept going. And that's very important that you just mentioned it. It's very important for people to keep in mind. If you go to the gym and you start eating properly and you fail for a week, you eat shit, and now you're gaining some weight back or whatever, don't assume that that's who you are. No. It's just that happened.
Yeah.
Just get back.
It's part of life.
I'm saying that aloud kind of to a mirror to myself.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying like I succeed, I made it. I'm working out and eating properly every day. No, I keep fucking eating shit all the time and getting out of my path of getting healthier. It's just that I recognize that I'm failing. It doesn't mean that I'm a failure. It just means that I failed that one other time, but I have to go back. Man, I surround myself, and we all do because it's a common concept, but I surround myself by people back in the day mostly, that if I say, I got to start working out, my friends were like, why? You always fucking start, always stop. Why you got to start again? Shut up, bro. Come on. That's not your friend. You know what I mean? But that's the common.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I start eating properly. Yeah, all right. You're always eating shit. No, shut up. Come on. We don't need that, right?
Yeah, positive reinforcement, encouragement.
We don't need it. Don't say anything if you don't want to. Sometimes it's good that you say a little shit because I like to shut people's mouth, right? Like the competitive in me, make it like, I got to prove you wrong also in my mind.
Exactly. We all need that a little bit.
But not everybody has it. Most people, even happen to me, when you hear enough people saying, really, you got to start, why? If you always fail, right? Yeah. Then you start feeling that pressure on you, like, yeah, you're kind of right. Yeah. I just got to take it easy and don't. No. Wait. No, we got to fail always. If you really want to get to the end or your goal and reach that goal, understand that you got to fail in that process many times. Just, it sounds corny, but it's like, it's just not how many times you fall, but how many times you stand up and keep going or something like that, they say, right? So it's about that, right? It's about, yeah, you got to fail. Just keep going. It's not easy if not everybody will do it. Right?
No, it's not. And I'm going to use an example just of recent because it's the most recent example that we have. So we had a girl come in, and she was a basketball player. Her name's Jazz. Jazz, if you're listening, Jasmine's the best. We love her. I couldn't be more proud of this person. Right?
Shout out to Yes.
Yeah, Jazz is the best. She just competed in her first fight, and she didn't win, but she's.
Wait, you say a basketball player?
So this is the story, right? Okay. She was a basketball player, and basketball wasn't kind of for her anymore. So she wanted to lose some weight, and she was overweight in terms of like pretty girl, but like she wanted to get in better shape. So she reached out to myself and one of the Charlie, Iron Fit Lion. You can follow on Instagram. Awesome guy. He works with me.
Iron Fit
Lion, right? And this is our Muay Thai instructor. And he fought. He's got a fight coming up as well. I'll get into that later. But so she came in and she was like, I want to lose weight and I want to start boxing. Okay, and so you're looking at her and you're saying to yourself, it's going to take a lot of hard work, sacrifice, whatever, and you really don't know what's inside people, when they start. And we worked diligently. And now, when talking about ups and downs and all arounds, literally, it seemed almost merely impossible at some points that this girl was going to reach any of these goals that she had set for herself. And when I tell you there were nights and days, when the scale moved in directions that it probably shouldn't have gone into, and instead of getting down, right, this person worked harder. Now you have to take an individual who's not very tall, she's a woman, and weighed maybe 35 to 37 pounds overweight. And now as a woman, and any women listening to this, they know that that's a big marker for not a big person. And every time that scale went the wrong direction, and every time it wasn't a great workout, or every time it was a hard session, this girl could have folded. Could have. Easily. Now you're going to go get punched in the face. I mean, like that stress alone is something to be like, holy shit, like fuck this. Like I can't even make the weight or whatever. The 6 to 8 month transformation that has taken place in front of our eyes should be a prime example that if you work hard, despite any failures that you may have, anything in your life, anytime that scale moves up 5 pounds or down 2 pounds or all around, or you're bloated, or you look at yourself midway through in that awkward stage of your body and you go, what the fuck am I doing this for? I didn't get the results. You have to understand that you're trusting the process. I have that on my wall. Big letters. Trust the process, because along the way, you're going to see not always what you want. It's just how life is. And you're going to keep going. This girl went and she made weight at 145. Looked unbelievable. And if you had told her that, I know she knew it deep down inside that she could do it. But if you looked at the surrounding people, that remember we're talking about our friends and whatever, she surrounded herself with the right team. And I think our team was a great fit for her because in the encouragement that she had. Now and I'm going to draw this into my other example of the everyone who's successful has a team, whether you like it or not. Look at like Conor McGregor. You look at a famous Freddie Roach with all his boxers, right? Or you look at Joe with Arnold, or you look with examples. Your hitting coach with baseball, or like a really good coach. Everyone has a team. And this team that you involve yourself in, if they link up with your success line, you will be successful. And I think that's the most important part of the whole thing that we're talking about now is lining ourselves up with the people who are going to make us most successful. And I think what we do is we have friends and acquaintances and things that we feel bad cutting them out of our lives, but ultimately we'll never have self-growth if they continue to be in our lives because they themselves don't have the passion, the drive, the energy, or they really just want to self-sabotage us because they can't do it in their own lives. So when you're saying about your friends over there saying, okay, well, they were like, oh, bro, you eat like shit. If and when you surround yourself now with positive people like your family, who you can bring into the equation like we talked about before, and they're going to be like your biggest cheerleaders, guess what? That success is going to be amazing. So it's all about finding that perfect team to help you drive those goals, because even the best people in business, right? Show me your 5 friends and I'll show you where you're going to be in 10 years, right? That's like on every freaking self-motivating bullshit thing. Show me your friends.
But it's true.
Yeah, but it is true because that's your team.
Yeah.
That's your encouragement line. That's the people that you go to and you go, hey man, you got abs. How can I do it? How can I be like you? And then they tell you how to do it. And then instead of telling you, you fat fuck, like whatever, chirping you or getting into your brain and like discouraging you, they're going, you could do it. Come on. You could do it. You could do it because that team is doing it as well. And all of a sudden, it's like you're motivating, and then you use the competition and you use the things, and now you're getting better and you're seeing the results. And every time you fall, it's not a hey, oh, you fell. Yeah. Whatever.
I told you will do it.
No, they know what they do. You know what good teams do? They pick you up.
Yeah.
They say, hey, let's go. Come on. You fell. Let's keep going. Yeah, you ate like shit that week? Well, okay. Guess what? You're working harder this week.
Exactly.
And that's what we miss out. And I think a lot of people don't have those support systems. And I think this probably right here, what we're talking about, is the most important part, because the people that don't have success are surrounded by other people who are living in non-successful environments, and they're bringing you down. So you have to find it.
And there is people that succeed out of the crappiest environment ever.
Oh, shittiest ever.
But they're not the norm. That's not the average.
They also find a new. They eventually get fed up of being fed up. Those people find someone or something. Even the worst of situations, they find something. Now, maybe there's a 0.5% of the population that magically just does it all on their own because they're just so motivated. They're like they're on a mission. But the average, even in the shittiest situations, I find they start to latch on to someone, a mentor, a friend, something.
Yeah, I heard that from so many like successful people saying like, yeah, I was in a very fucked up place and I realized I wanted to do something with my life. I started training some martial arts as just to get my head out of the way. And then I found a mentor there, my sensei or my master or my professor, whatever. I realized this person was a good role model, so I don't want to let him down. And now I'm pushing myself to prove it's just finding that, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And again, it's not always the easiest thing to do, but it's a good way to do it. Probably the best way to do it. Just surround yourself by people.
But I feel like we all have mentors.
Even though they are not in the same page that you, they are in their own words, but they also finding a way to succeed. So they're finding a way to push each other, you know, to carry each other to be positive, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you're a tattoo artist and you're really good at it. Now, I'm sure there's people that you look up to as well. But if you were in the beginning stages of your career, you wouldn't go to a tattoo artist that makes stick figures. That was below you. You'd be like, no.
There is people who like to do that just to show themselves as better. And that's such a big mistake. No. And that's not just for tattoo doing art, but for everything. Like if you, I don't know, like whatever you do, you surround yourself for lessers. Let's say people that, not just because you want to help them, it's just because you really want to bright.
Yeah, you want the ego boost.
And that's such a nonsense, man.
Yeah.
If you do it for the right reason, that you want to pull people and bring them with you, good.
I feel like those people are like narcissists. Like they're wackos.
Right.
Like I
might happen often.
Yeah, but and you're absolutely right. I mean, I always want to learn something, and I guess in my own business it's hard because I don't have a mentor in terms of I have several that I reach out to, but like I don't have anyone above me because now I'm the boss. So it's always hard to find that new motivation because sometimes we get into things. But I've been at conventions or whatever, and I'm talking to people that I see on the internet, and I'm like, how do I get another mentor? Like what are those steps to becoming a mentor? Like within our field, I feel like there is a lot of things that we can do with mentorships and things that especially in my field, like without having to the old school, like give up what I'm doing to go like venture off like a disciple to, study under them, like, back like old school, like karate, like you went to like the monk's temple. But like, I feel like we always just have to keep striving to find new mentors and things. And I think we do all lost. I think it's a lot of it is just lost. Like we're so self-absorbed, like I think I said in the beginning of the podcast, that we don't find a way to continue to grow personally. I think self-development and growth has been shunted by this social norm of like, you see these 1%ers, and again, you alluded to it, that you were only seeing the final product. We don't understand how many times they've asked for help, and those stories get lost because also we also don't show those people, to be honest with you. A lot of the really, really good, successful people, the ones that run hedge funds and have all this money, we're only looking at the top 1, like 0.5%, like all these, the Kardashians and this and that. I'm just using examples of these like really, really super rich people. They're not really that rich in terms of like their hard work ethics. They got really, really lucky and or were inside of their family had money, right? And then we exploit that, like TV and internet and movies, they exploit these people because they're already part of the 1%, and we're drawn to them thinking that that's how it should be. Like, no, like these other people are the work harders, the people that were in the trenches that aren't making the 100 millions, but they make $50 million a year. And they have a very comfortable living because every day they use their brain, they work, and they have mentors, they have a mentor system, they have business, sex business, they sell their businesses, they do all this stuff. And I think we don't show them as much. So I think we get a false sense of also that a top elitist type thing. I mean, we're just looking at kind of like these really super elite people who really kind of like fell into it, as opposed to like those people like the athletes and some of the lower singers who make it big, and some of the artists that were nobodies, whatever, instead of looking to those. Like I think there's a lot more out there, but it's all part of that whole mentor system and learning and understanding. And
I have a friend, a tattoo artist, somebody that I know. His name is Rember. He's a great, amazing tattoo artist. And I had a quick conversation with him one day. I tattooed his shop for a couple of days in Texas. And then the last day, we were painting from, a painting session there just to relax. And then we were talking a little bit. And he recommended it to me, a book. And I mentioned it here already a couple of times, but I really think it's a good book. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or Poor Dad, Rich Dad, whatever. And I wish I remember the name of the author, but I'm so bad with names. But the other day I was trying to remember my friend's name. Instead of saying Rembrandt, I said Rembrandt. It's a painter's name.
Yeah.
So whatever. The point is that this book talks about that, having a mentor, somebody that help you, right? Because the guy, the rich dad and the poor dad, his own dad, that even though he's successful, have a career and has a good salary as a professor at university or something. I don't remember exactly the details. The point is that his teaching is like study, get a career, a degree, right? Do your master's or whatever, and then find a job and work hard and then retire and live with the money that you can, right? That's the poor dad mentality. He said the rich dad is teaching what to do with the money, how to invest it, and the money you don't save it because the money doesn't do shit when it's saved, right? Because whatever interest that you might gain is not enough for the valuation of the currency, so you're actually not making real money, right? So you just have to know how to invest it. And so he's teaching, right, what to do with his money. And anyway, mentors, important, right? I found myself growing in a very low income household. I don't like to say poverty because it sounds, I don't know, cheesy. Or there is people that is really, really poor. So I don't want to put myself like I was that kind of poor. But a very low income. My mother was a single mom trying to do magic to raise us up. I didn't grow up in an environment where I learned about money, right? Because money was just how I get money to eat, not just to pay the rent, not just to invest or anything like that. I didn't know anything about investments or anything about that until I was like 35 or probably 38, right? That I started learning because I had any money left in my pocket. So what I do with this money now. So the point is that when I just moved to America, the first time in 2001, I was living in Miami and I met this guy that was painting a mural for him. He hired me to paint a mural in his apartment. And he's from Canada originally, has an apartment in Miami just for vacations and stuff. I feel like I missed the opportunity of having a great mentor in my life on that dude because he was already trying to mentor me. Like already giving me advices. Don't work for a salary. Working for an hourly rate, you won't get nowhere. You need to develop a skill and grow from that. Whatever. He was telling me things I wasn't comprehending. The magnitude of that kind of knowledge. Simple stuff. We were walking, he invited me for lunch, he showed me architecture, like this is that, and let's eat. And no worry, I pay for that with my business card, whatever. He was teaching me little stuff that are so important to understand the world of the money and finances and how to grow and become successful or whatever. And I was missing the whole thing because in that moment, barely speaking English, but not just that, my mind, it was still a poor man's mind. I was just thinking how I make some money to pay a bill and how I repeat. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
How I repeat that, how I make, again, the same money tomorrow, rather than trying to comprehend that he was trying to teach me something. It took me a bunch of years later to realize, oh, wow, I should have kept that person next to me because he was willing to teach me stuff that I didn't know. But it's just so hard, right?
Yeah.
When you don't know, you don't know. It sounds weird, but it's just like that simple, man.
Yeah.
So many years later, because that was in 2001, so we're talking about 20 years later, but probably, let's say 15, probably 5 years ago, it kind of exploded in my face, like, wow, what a waste of opportunity from me, having somebody that is so successful. He owns a big company that teach companies how to manage themselves in the proper way and whatever, right? He traveled the world and all of this kind of stuff. His clients are like Boeing. like company. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, big companies.
And he was trying to mentor me, and I missed it just because I didn't know. Not because I didn't care. It's just I didn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And sometimes we do fall short of that, but also, I think in all of our journeys, there are a few times that we've come across some very successful people at different stages, and it takes us that 10 years to go, like, kind of have that V8 moment, like, on your head, and you go, oh, that's what they were talking about.
And we go back to the same thing. Like, sometimes we feel like, I don't want to bother. I don't want to be asking questions.
Exactly.
If I can help anybody with anything that I know, feel free to ask me any questions.
Yeah.
I will try to, I do that. I'm not in this position, right? But I'm in a better position where I was. And I know things that other people might not know. An example is that I receive emails or messages sometimes from people asking me, what kind of machine you use, what kind of needle, or why I see that you bend the needle, what kind of ink you use. And I respond, man, emails. And some people said to me, like, I asked that question to other artists, they don't respond to me. Yeah, some people is very busy, they don't have the time to do it. Some people is selfish with what they know, and they feel like, I don't want people know because then they're going to be better than me or whatever. I don't know. Whatever the reason whatever the reason is, it's not in me. If you feel free to ask me whenever I have the time. I will respond to. I try to respond to everybody very often, and you know what I mean. Ask the questions, and I'm offering myself. If you have questions, ask me. Whatever it is, I try to help. But with whoever is around you, it doesn't need to be about tattoos. It can be about fitness. It can be about how to manage a business, or how to invest your money, or what is the best way to save or invest, or how to dress better, or whatever. I don't know. I just think out of my ass right now. But whatever it is, ask people questions. Because it's a great way to learn.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I think
easy to get.
Yeah, I think it's super important. I think it's one of the things that not being a dead horse that we talked about earlier is just, I think we don't ask questions. Like, we find it to be troublesome to people or annoying, and we don't ask, and then we try to figure it out on our own. But we become, like your brother told you, there's not a dumb question, because if you don't ask the question, you become stupid, and a lot of us continue to be stupid because we just are afraid to ask those questions. And I think, we're not taught any of those things, to be honest with you.
That's the big problem, man. You go to a school to teach you about a bunch of crap that you might never need. I mean, general culture is good that you know.
Nah, I mean, it's thought it's such an old school mentality of this. Like, I understand it helps with thought development processes and troubleshooting and walking through problems, like in math, and coming up with examples or solutions to these problems. It doesn't really help you in the giant scheme of things, like balancing your checkbook or investing or understanding how your money works for you or whatever. Like,
that should be in a school. Every kid's at school.
Yeah, and honestly, I think, they don't teach you, unless you go into business, they don't teach you about business. But why do you have to go into business? But what about if you want to be a business like myself, or like yourself, where it's a business, but like you're not learning that from like a business class of how to be a better tattoo artist, because business is like running a business, but you're not having the skill, because if you don't have the skill and you have the business, then you're not going to be successful, because then you have to find, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's all this stuff that like we don't necessarily put together. The pieces aren't put together for us, so we are kind of behind the 8 ball in terms of when we come out of school. But also, there's a delicate balance, because we don't want to be given too much information, because then we're going to probably not take that information and work hard with it. We're just going to already know the answers, so that kind of defeats learning purposes as well. But I think we're all kind of similar on the thought process of, like, we really aren't given these real life tools. Like, we're not given these things that are successful. Like, even with health and fitness, like, we're not given those tools. Like, why isn't health a huge talking point in school? Like,
exactly.
Why isn't what goes into your body a huge talking point? Your body is.
I think that they have things like science, biology.
They do. Biology,
they have it.
Yeah.
And you need to learn about cells and whatever. Right? Your organs and your brain. You need to learn about that. It's important. But also how to keep them healthy, how to keep them working properly, how to get the best out of everything in you, right? you don't learn that part. They just want to put in the book the heart, the blood comes in, goes out, they go to your lungs, pick oxygen, bring it to you, but or whatever. But they don't really. I feel like there's a lot of information that people should have in their hands as a tool by the moment that you finish school and go into the war, that should help you to navigate the war in a more efficient way. That is just about, I don't know, the complicated algebra or the complicated history of everything that happened. History is important, but as a tool for the future, not just as a memorizing dates, the things that happen and when happen and why they happen. Yes, all that is important, but it's not the most important if you cannot apply those knowledge to the future, to your own future, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think when I'm thinking about it, I think it goes back to ego too. Like if they have a bunch of super successful people, then there's no reason for them to hire people and teach them their way of doing things. You know, like I feel like it's a really delicate system as well with all of that. But another point that came up in my brain, you know, when we get sick, we go to doctors, right? Doctors are really not even taught nutrition, and nutrition heals the body.
Yes.
Our pain management, our sickness cures, all of our stuff is in food. And our healthcare physicians don't know anything about food.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Know what they know? They know pharmaceuticals. They know, give me a pill that eventually I took this pill, I feel a little bit better, but now, you know, my one of my eyes goes sideways. Well, and now I need another pill and another pill.
Or your Achilles tendon gets fucked up and you cannot walk for 2 months, like happened to me for a triglyceride medication that they gave me. Fuck my knees and my tendons.
Yeah, because you probably were
and I didn't realize until it was late. That was because of the medication.
Yeah, because you were super dehydrated, right? Triglycerides, I believe.
Yeah, but the medication itself affects your joints.
Yeah,
it's like
because it dries you out.
How you gonna give me that crap? Yeah. You know what I mean?
And they didn't care because your issue was triglycerides. You need to get your triglycerides
down. And to get your triglycerides down, you'd rather change your diet and exercise. Yeah. But now you cannot exercise because you can barely walk.
Exactly.
So you're sitting around depending on more medications.
Yeah. So it all goes back to, again, that concept of we're not really taught really skillful lessons. Like, we're not taught how to hunt and fish and do normal things, right? Because we have grocery stores. Well, if grocery stores tomorrow cease to exist, a lot of people would be screwed, right? So we don't really think about things in terms of what, you know, are practical to life. We're just teaching this standard curriculum that is kind of garbage.
Yeah, I just feel like, for example, for low-income communities, and there are areas where it's not just a neighborhood, but it's a whole city, or some areas that is almost a full state, that they are so low income that they hardly see a way out of that. I think those schools should focus more on teaching kids. It's not like leave math aside, leave history aside, leave science aside. No, people need that. General culture is important, right? The general culture. I guess that's how you say in English. Cultura general, you say in Spanish. You need that information in you, right? But it's also not just create classes where, okay, these kids gotta get out of here knowing how to repair cell phones or how to weld in Venezuela, this kind of thing, or how to operate machines. You know what I mean? They finish high school with certain kind of degree that they know how to do some technical stuff, right? Because some schools do that. But it's not just about teaching kids one career, let's say one knowledge, something, not just one thing to do with your hands and go out to the world and do that one thing. It's more about teaching kids how to solve problems in life, understand how the economy really works, how the money really works, how community really should work. So because they're growing in communities that are not the best, they never experience other communities, a school should teach that, but not just in a science class or whatever, just like really create models or what you should expect from your environment, how you get there, I think there is a lot more efficient information that is being out is let be out. What? It's a lot of information that
has to still yet. I think.
Oh, it's being letting out of the curriculums that's so important for all this community to be more successful.
Yeah, and I think that that could be a whole nother podcast and a half. In terms of that, because again, we live in a world that, and again, my opinion, are dominated by X percentage of people, and they don't want the majority of the people to have a knowledge base that makes them unnecessary to them. So they don't need them anymore. In these lower income neighborhoods and things, there are really unique, probably really good ways to create community advocacy and teaching these children, how to be good with money, how to see out of these spots, how to invest back into the community, how to create community gardens and food things that, replenish community food banks and things, and how to, even in low economic, areas, that they can still thrive and be successful, and how to get out of these situations. I think there's so many entities that are pressing on them because they know that if they taught them these skills, they won't need them, and it would put them out of business, and their power structure would cease to exist. That they just will not do that, because everything that you've said thus far is like kind of like that common sense thing of like, well, shouldn't you teach children how to eat properly? Shouldn't you teach them that exercise is important? Shouldn't you encourage music and other parts of your brain? Shouldn't you encourage art? Why are we cutting these programs? Why are we taking money and defunding them? Why are we, teaching science but not teaching, why wait until they go to college or after college for their MBAs and all this stuff? It's like, well, it doesn't make any sense. But then when you look at it and take a step back and look at it from the 40,000 foot view, you're like, oh, okay, well, high schools are funded by the states. Colleges are basically giant money grabs, and master's programs are even bigger money grabs. So they want to keep your information as down as possible so that you come out with a debt that you need to work. So then you're working for the man to pay off your debts to society, that because they gave you that knowledge base that you probably could learn in like 8th grade. So I don't know. I think that's just such a bigger thing that's probably way above my pay grade.
Oh,
in terms
mine
of,
too. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think
it just came to the conversation.
But I think,
I don't know how.
Yeah, but I think in terms of even us thinking about it and talking about it, I think there's a lot of people like us out there thinking the same things and talking about it amongst themselves. Of, well, why don't I understand this? Yeah. Why don't I understand that? Why is it that I have to wait until I'm here to understand that? And then it goes back to the mentor things. A lot of the people in low income areas don't have mentors, right? They don't even have
concept of a mentor. They don't even have a concept. That happened to me, as I said.
But some people, and in your case as well, and I don't know the situation, but a lot of people don't even grow up with male figures in the home, right?
Like me.
So what I'm saying is, that itself is an issue that we don't address, because for the family dynamics to work properly, it's very hard for the mother to assume the role of both father and mother.
You're gonna get so much fire for this.
Yeah, no, and
I know what you're saying.
And I know a lot, and I know so many amazing single parents. And don't get me wrong.
No, I know. I don't get you.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying. My mother is a single mom.
Yeah, and they've done amazing for us, and a lot of us are successful in things of that nature. I was fortunate enough to have both sets of parents, but in terms of the mentorship,
I know what
and this is going to the mentorship, there aren't even enough mentors in the home to then reach out to the mentors on the outside of the home. So then it becomes a self thing, and the self thing is very hard because we're doing things on our own. And then that by ourselves, we can never kind of get out of that pattern because we don't have an understanding of what's outside of that pattern in that world. So, and what happens is we look to these again, those super elite rich people, whether it's the musician or the rapper or the movie star or the basketball player or the football player or the hockey player or baseball player or whoever, we're looking outside the scope of what's realistic to make us a better person. And then we put aside the thought process, the educational part, because they're not teaching us much of anything, but we have to understand that the education pushes us in the direction that we need to go. It's one of those things like you got to do it because it'll get you to open the next door for you. And then it just becomes this perpetual cycle of, I don't give a shit about what's important because I'm looking up to these people that we don't really quite understand why they're there, but they're there because they got help, because they had the mentors and they had the team and they, but I'm not getting that because, it is what it is. And like, I'm looking so far above what is right in front of me to create this like culture. And I think that all ties back to what you were saying. If it was taught in school, we would look for mentors. We would look for answers. We would look, and all those kids that are on the fence would become community activists and plant the gardens and plant the seeds of knowledge and help create solutions to problems and to invest money back into the community because they know they have money, because they know their money will make money for them. And there you go. You have a nice cycle of new classes, new people bringing in stuff back to the community and back into the community and more centers and more things. And then you don't have people leaving or, whatever. You have people staying within the community because we've used it several times, right? Get out. We keep saying the word get out. No one's ever saying get back in. We're never looking at that, because if I'm bringing money back in and I'm bringing resources back in, more people won't want to have to feel the need to get out. It won't be that. You would be bringing back to your own community, and it wouldn't be that. And that's just my opinion. Now,
all of this is just opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a conversation.
I'm not a community, activist in terms definitely. Of that. I'm a strength coach, but it all ties down, and it comes back to my field as well, though, because when you look at sports and you look at training and you look at things that boys and girls need in physical fitness, it creates a lot of those intangibles in terms of drive, focus, determination, empowerment, work ethic. Yes. So again, it all ties back. And I think everything we've said is all tied back, because those things, when you are brought to those children, that authoritativeness and that driven power, and now the competition, they thrive. People thrive off of that because they're missing that. And it's not so much a me thing, it's a team thing. And then the team thing spawns to, I work hard for my teammates, which works hard for my community, which brings back positive, which more positive equals greater success for the good. So again, I think it all ties down to physical fitness and strength conditioning as well. So
let me ask you this to kind of close the day. We've been 3 hours into this. But this question came to me long ago, and I didn't want to interrupt, and then we went out. But I think it's important. So I agree, and we agree that you said 80% might be what you eat, 15% is rest and sleep. You need to sleep. Your body needs you to sleep to recover. You know what I mean? So we know that, right? And the 5%, let's say, is fitness, exercising. That 5% is very important. It's not just like, it's just 5%. Who cares? No, it's important,
it's
right?
Important, yeah.
Something that I know is good, but I always have trouble finding is a good personal trainer. What would be your advice for people that cannot go to your gym?
Yeah.
Because they're somewhere else. Because what I'm saying is this. I tried about 3 times personal trainers, never worked for me. Once I found this guy that you know about those guys, they're like, their goal is to make you puke. They're not trying to teach you or make you smarter or stronger with your fitness. They're just trying to prove that they're badass and they can drain the shit out of you, making you do a lot of crap that you ended up like dying. I personally don't feel it's the right way. it might be, and I don't know it. If you think it's the right way, I will listen to your advice, but I don't kind of agree with that kind of go. You have to run faster. Come back. Trying to do in one day what you haven't done in your whole life, and then you just feel like, again, like puking the whole time, vomiting. So then I found somebody else that, bro, this guy, he was a nice person, but he was just there, standing there, and okay, do 10 whatever with a machine, like the chest press or whatever, but in the machine. He's in the phone, he's looking there, he's like, okay, I'm counting, you fight two more, give me 2 more. But you don't see like he's really pressing attention to the small details or whatever. But I went to a good gym, or what I thought was a good gym, and I hired one of the personal trainers. That was a waste of money. It was a lot of money for no reason and for no really knowledge. And then I found this other person that it was kind of similar situation to a combination of those two. He's not trying to make you puke or anything like that. He's trying to, okay, today you have to do 20 press. He was like giving a number like he knows he's going to be kind of killing me in the process to get there, rather than making me progressively get to that point. At the end, I kind of quit on the 3 of them. And I don't know if I become a quitter, and I don't consider myself a quitter. But I didn't find, but I always been looking for that. I want a personal trainer, somebody to teach me to do the move in a proper way, that I don't hurt myself, but I get progress. I don't want to be too steady either, like doing just very little weight to don't hurt myself, or not too much weight that I'm really hurting myself. I need to find somebody that help me.
Yeah.
How I find that person, man?
Yeah.
How somebody find that person?
Listening to you, describe those 3 trainers. If I asked you the question back, what do you want in a personal trainer? You tell me.
If
don't sugarcoat it. What do you want?
No. I'm trying to think. I need somebody that knows the proper things to teach me to do in the right way and get progress. That not necessarily the fastest way possible, but let's say the fastest way possible in a healthy way. That's what I'm looking. Somebody that teach me how to do the right exercises in the right way and not hurting myself in that process. You're just learning for the long, you know what I mean?
So
for the long.
Your personal training type is a knowledge-based trainer who can teach you slow increments but be fun enough to maintain some type of enthusiasm over the long haul.
Too,
yes. So when you're looking for a personal trainer, it's like trying on pairs of sneakers, right? There's Adidas, there's Nike, there's Fila. There's like a million shoes. You might try on 10, and then all of a sudden you find the one that you want. Those other ones weren't bad sneakers by any means, right? You maybe like the Converse All-Stars, right? You tried on 10 pairs of Nike or whatever. You found your Converse, right? That's your style. When finding a personal trainer, you have to find your style. You have to look at their body of work and see if it fits what you want. Because a lot of the times we go to public gyms and we go to these places and we're looking for trainers, but we haven't done enough of the background information on these guys to see if they're what fits what I'm looking for. Because it's just like being in a relationship, right? She's hot, but she's not. She has 0 of the same interests as you. 0, none. Like you guys, you're 2 polar opposites. Yeah, she's hot, cool. Well, he's at a gym, cool. But you guys you'll never connect on the level that you need to be, because his philosophy and mentality are completely different than yours. So when you're looking for the trainer, you have to look at their body of work and find the person that when they talk to you or they speak to you, it resonates with you in terms of like, this is something that you'd want to continue to do, because you want to see that they are giving you that education that you want, because you have to be upfront with them. I want some education and some knowledge on this. I want to be pushed to this, right? And I can see why people try to go a little bit above, right? We've all tried that. It's a selling point because we want to keep you coming back, because we want to show you there's more in you, right? It's kind of that motivation thing, but not everyone responds to that. That might not be how you respond to motivation, right? You might be just like, this is stupid, right? And that's everyone's different. So it's individualized. And then you have your last part where it's like, how do I make progressionary steps for a beginner and keep them interested over X amount of time? Because that is hard, because everyone loses focus. Because again, if you don't do it for like 2-3 months, you're not going to continue to stay with it because you're going to get bored. And our attention spans usually are about 2 weeks. We get motivated for 2 weeks, really, really hard, and then it goes down the toilet.
I know.
That's just how it is. That's just how our bodies and minds operate. If you're coming to me and I'm saying, Javier, you tell me exactly what you want and all these things, I'm going to look at you and say, okay, when we're training, ask me a question. If I can't answer the question, I will look it up for you. So now I'm giving you knowledge. Okay? Here's what my game plan is for you moving forward. I know that after my evaluation of you, you can't move. I'm going to loosen you up by doing movement type of things, right? And in my environment, I have to explain that I'm only one person. So unless you're paying me like $200 an hour, there will be other things that'll draw my attention away. So you have to bear with me. I'm always trying to watch and being there. So that's just my example. And I want you to write everything down that we do. I'm going to write it down too, because I'm going to use my computer, because I have sheets and we write it on the sheets. Mm-hmm. But I want you to write it down as well. Why? Because I think it's super important for you to create your own manual for success. Mm-hmm. Right? It's your manual.
And you keep track also of what you're doing.
Yeah. And you now know that you started here and you ended here. Mm-hmm. But then you don't need me anymore. I don't want you as I do not want you as a lifetime client. I don't want you to become my best friend and hang out with me every 5 minutes inside the gym. Mm-hmm. I want you to come, learn, create your book of success. Take that book and you can go to any gym, any place, anything that you want to do. And guess what? You whip open your book of knowledge. You go back to, I love this exercise, and I do it, and I'm not going to hurt myself. Mm-hmm. That's my philosophy.
Cool.
Because I don't want you to be here with me forever. If you're with me forever, I'm not doing my job.
Exactly. I get it.
Because that means I didn't teach you anything. That means you're using me as a crutch.
Yes.
Right?
Or you as a personal trainer are taking advantage.
Yeah. I'm just collecting the paychecks.
You're collecting paycheck, keeping people there for you to make the money.
Now,
I feel that sometimes that's kind of the gym's mentality.
Yeah.
I hated it that they were like, okay, this gonna cost you like $100 an hour, or you can sign a contract for like 5 years and pay like $25 an hour. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
So you're telling me that I'm gonna need to be here all that time with a personal trainer to be able to learn to do the things right?
Yeah.
This is not fucking college. This is just exercises, right? You should be able to teach me, let's say not in a day, of course, but in certain time, how to do things right and how to take the more advantage of that. Then if I need to evolve to a more advanced level, then I need another kind of personal trainer, or maybe a more hours with the same personal trainer, whatever it is. But I shouldn't be enforced, or you know what I mean, to sign a contract for a long time in order to learn to exercise.
Now,
the basics.
But if you were like an athlete, right? And in general, people the same. Like an athlete is a little bit different. Like I can have long athletes, but we're changing it constantly because they're getting older.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And we're taking it when we used to be like, we're lifting heavy because they needed the mass and the size and all this thing because they were younger and they're full of piss and vinegar and their coaches wanted to be bigger and stronger and faster. But then their body's starting to get older. So now we're using force velocity and we're looking at things where we're moving weights faster and we're not bullshitting and wasting, because now we have things that can measure that. Mm-hmm. So now we know once you drop below a certain percentage of force and speed, well, we're done. Your body's done with that. We don't need to do that anymore. We can cut down. Now we're working around you getting towards the latter part of your career. Still, that whole career might only be 10 to 15 years. Some people are 20, but for the average, that 5 to 7 years working together. Still, eventually, there's an end date to that. Mm-hmm. Same with the personal training clients, right? Now, you have to take a professional athlete and decrease it a bit, right? Because we're just in generalized fitness. So if you get to the point where you're coming to me for an hour, right? And we're working for an hour together. All my sessions are usually an hour. After 6 to 8 months, if you haven't fallen into that, I'm your friend, I want to hang out with you all the time, which is great. I don't mind it. You can then go take that information, go to your gym, not get hurt, and or understand where you're going in that whole mind fuck of Google, and have an app on your phone and go, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm not scared anymore to do that because I learned. Or, hey, maybe you come back to me for a week or two because you just need a refresher. Hey, I forgot about that. I don't need you there in front of me 24/7. Like I that's what I want you to say. I am comfortable doing it on my own. I know how to do it on my own.
Yeah, but it makes sense what you're saying. Like, even though you start in the gym and you gotta spend 3 months there, it doesn't mean that your journey is over. It's done. No, you're just in the beginning of a life.
Yeah.
If we stop thinking about, I wanna fast fix. You know what I mean? Like, I need just lose this weight right now, and that, I don't care anymore. If you really want to change your life, right? It's not about that one period of time. It's about how you maintain over the time, right? And the pretty much only way to maintain over the time is keep adapting. Because if you keep repeating the same exercise for a year, at some point you're gonna plateau. You won't change.
You'll plateau in like 4 weeks.
Exactly. So you need to always keep tweaking your body and doing the change that you need to do to keep, you know, the progress of you to your goal, right?
Yeah, and
so that makes sense. But yeah, definitely my experience was more like I felt, and I don't know if that was the dumb part of me or the stubborn, or that I always grow up being like very, very, very hard to follow directions. Like when not follow directions. I follow directions very, very well, but it's more like follow like. I don't imagine myself being in the military, let's say, having to follow, like, put your face in the ground and do this shit for me. Like, oh, yeah, why? What you saying? Well,
yeah.
I got to sacrifice my life for you and you got to ask me to eat chef for you? Shut up. Don't do that. You know,
listen, I'm the same way.
For me, always being hard to understand that way. So might be the other reason that I don't know what is that.
Well, I'm that way as well. So that's why I connect with certain people like that, because I'm not in your face type of guy. Exactly. Ask my kids. Ask the kids I train. I had a woman walk in one time, and she'd walked in. She did the boxing, and she kept walking in. And she sees me. I'm bullshitting, hanging out, talking to one of my guys, and she goes to me, "Do you ever work?"
How rude.
No. But she meant it because, and it was the biggest like ego stroke to me, which was awesome, because she goes, "Do you ever work? Like, I always see you just kind of like floating around." I said, you want to know why I do that? Because when I take my clients, my athletes, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, you're my little soldier, right? I'm teaching you exactly how I want it, telling you why you're doing it. And if you fuck it up, I'm going to be very mad. So guess what happens? By week 2, they might ask 1 or 2 questions. By week 3, they don't need me. By week 4, we're rocking and rolling. So when I'm taking a step back, I know exactly what everybody in my room's doing. I don't need to be over you going, like, you've been told, I've explained it, I've educated you on what to do, I've answered your questions if you had any, and now you're self-sufficient.
That's a good goal.
Now you can go, and I have kids that do this, and I can show you. I can videotape it. Another kid somewhere in the gym, and I don't have a big gym. Well, they'll go to say a question, and one of our other guys will be like, "I got it. I know. Let me help you." See, I taught them something. Now they're teaching someone else something. Now that's stuck with them forever, just like your personal book. It's with you forever because you've learned it. You don't need me. I've already taught you it.
Yeah.
Teach it. Man. Give a kid, right? Give a man a fish. He'll eat for the day. Teach a man to fish. He'll
eat forever.
Yeah. It's the same concept. It's just an easy rooted concept. So when she said that, I was like, I made it. I did what I accomplished because they don't need me. I'm here to watch them, make sure they don't get hurt, to, if they're doing something wrong, correct them. But I don't need to be on top of them because they already know. The expectations have been met. It's been set. You're trusting the process. We created the process together. We know your body. We know what it's going to do. We know what it's supposed to do. We know where we want to go. Giving you the platform for success. Operate it. Do it. Trust it. I'm here if you need me. If I'm standing over you, you're not going to get it.
That's good.
And
man.
and I hated that as an athlete. I played Division I, AA, and our coaches, up your ass, up your ass, up your ass, up your. I said, that's not how I learn. I'm not motivated by you yelling at me. And trust me, I was gonna go to the military and all that stuff. And I just said, I got to that phase of my life, and I'm like, that's not motivating to me personally. Some people need it.
Yeah.
I want to teach me how to do it, because I also have a learning disability. So, I'm a very visual type. I need to screw up. I have to screw up to learn it. So let me do it on my own. If I fuck it up, then yell at me and I'll figure it out. But don't be like over me constantly, because all I'm going to do is start shutting down. I'm not going to get motivated to prove you wrong. I prove you wrong on the field or what I'm doing. I'm going to go kill somebody, and I'm going to look at you and just be like, see? But that in that weight room, that environment, whatever, I don't need to be like that. I want to say, I taught you skill, taught you a little bit more. You teach others.
Yeah, that's like raising kids, man.
Yeah.
You don't want to be all the time over them telling them what to do, because they're going to grow up as somebody that needs somebody to tell them what to do. You need to teach them the tool and let them go and fuck it up.
Yeah.
And you keep an eye. If you can help them a little bit in the process, help them. But you don't need to be feeding them in the mouth all the life.
And it's like what I tell my high school kids, or even my college kids. And we all know what high school and college kids do, right? They make dumb decisions. Let's just say that. I've always told them, you need me, call me, right? I will be there. But I'm not going to go tell you right or wrong or indifferent or whatever. I'm going to say, hey, you have to live your life, just like if I had kids. Know that I'm an outlet for you, and I will always be there for you, just like when I'm in the gym. I'm always here for you. You just have to experience it, like you're saying, on your own. Mm-hmm. And that's the culture and the mentality that we have in the gym that I think is unique to other gyms, because we build off of one another. There's no one above one another. We're all hanging out. We all know what we need to do. We know what we need to accomplish. We know when we have our board systems, like in the fall, they know what's on the board. They've been taught what's on the board. They don't need me.
Cool, man.
And that's the cool part about it.
What is the name of your gym?
My gym is called Pulaski Strength. You can find us on Instagram. Pulaski.
That's your last name,
That
right?
is my last name. Yep. PDP, a.k.a. Pete Pulaski. So it's Pulaski, I believe, _ strength. Yeah. I always had to think about it again. STRENGTH. So Pulaski Strength on Instagram. You can check us out online at pulaskistrength.com. And also we have our own supplement line. If you guys are into caffeine-free stimulants, right? We don't do stimulants in our thing. We use food. So it's Pulaski Strength Performance Nutrition, and that is on our website as well, PSPN. And I think that's all of it. And if
send me a couple of photos, and I'll put in the beginning of the podcast with an intro so people can see how it looks, the logo, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
The logo of the gym, whatever you want to.
Yeah, we just actually rechanged our logo again. We went back to when I originally started. It was a Viking. I used to have a really long beard. Actually,
is that one there? Pulaski Strength.
Yeah, so this is one of the new ones that we actually made, but we don't like it at all. I mean, it was pretty cool, but it's not. It doesn't fit our vibe, so we actually have a really badass Viking that we're using now. So when I first started the gym, I had a longer beard than you. I had it down here, and all the kids would come in, and it was when that show Vikings was getting popular.
Oh, okay.
And I don't have the greatest hairline, so kind of look a little Ragnar-esque, and everyone was like, "Oh, dude, you look like a Viking. You look like a Viking. You look like a Viking."
How tall are you? You're like 6 something, right?
Yeah, I'm just a smidge over 6 feet tall. So I mean, above average, I guess. But as a bigger person, you kind of just look a little bit more intimidating. So they're like, "Dude, you look like a Viking, Viking." And so I went online. I find there was really cool, an artist had made some cool Viking. So we kind of switched it around, and made it this logo is badass, this skull and Viking. And I had people that advised against that for me, in terms of business people that were like, listen, you want a cleaner product, you want to do these fucking business bullshit things. I guess I listened to them because I thought they knew more than me. But ultimately, it's been a giant consensus over the past 7 years. We are going back to the Viking because every kid and every parent and every person goes, what happened to the Viking? That was really badass. I was like, I got talked out of it. So we're going back to the Viking. It's pretty badass. We'll change that up. We'll have some merch coming out. We're actually going to do some hats. We're going to do some Coke collabs. And yeah, if you guys ever want to listen to me talk and maybe have you on the show, it's the Last Call podcast with me. Two beer jugs clanking into one another in our cool little logo inside of a hockey arena. And it's me, myself, Pete Pulaski, and my brother, Mike Pulaski, who is going to be a lawyer, and he brings a lot of cool questions to the table. We have a lot of cool guests. Awesome, and if you want, if anyone of your clients or anyone listening is into Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu, and or boxing, please follow Iron Fit Lion. He is working upstairs in our gym. We have boxing classes from 4 to 9 daily, and we train fighters for success. So we have fights coming up.
Can people train if they just want to lose weight or get a little exercise?
Yeah, absolutely. We have classes for women. We have kids classes as well. So if one of your children out there that you're listening wants to get into boxing, it's great for self-defense. Great skill to just have to just lose weight. Come on in. What we do is we do some tag team stuff too. So if you want to use the gym and you want to continue to box, there's a package for that as well.
Awesome, man. Where is that located at?
It's inside the Wonderland of Ice in Bridgeport. So it's right across from the DMV. It's called Glenwood Park. So it's 123 Glenwood Avenue, Bridgeport, Connecticut, 06610. And my contact information is you can find me at Peter, Pulaski@gmail.com, or you can call our business phone at 203-362-9576.
And your Instagram is
PDP hockey, PDP hockey training _ or PDP54 _ hockey training. That's the longest thing ever, but I wanted to distinguish myself as a hockey trainer. You can find me on my personal Instagram page. And yeah, we'll go from there. I'm a unique individual. Got a lot of rants, a lot of stuff to say. So,
thank you for coming, brother.
Hey, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Loved every second of it. Man. Yeah,
and I guess I will see you.
Yeah, we're gonna be tattooing tomorrow. So we're gonna finish off this badass St. Michael. I mean, for all you guys listening, Javier's the best. He does all my artwork, and I get a lot of compliments. So I bet your book had just opened, and I was like, dude, I had friends, and he. Funny story about how I actually got to even know you is when you did one of my athletes, and you did a Pegasus on him, and he came into the gym the next day. I'm like, what the? I said, dude, show me that thing. He's like, yeah, man. I walked into this shop and I was asking about a tattoo, and the guy ended up being the owner, and he was free, and he was like, dude, we'll do it right now, and he's telling me this story, and I'm like, dude, that thing's floating off your skin right now. I said, that thing's badass. And then he handed me your card, and the rest is history. So
he got a day that was free.
Yeah, it was like a miraculous thing that he walked in. You must have had a cancellation,
probably somebody.
Yeah, and you hadn't posted yet that you were open, and he walked in. You were like, well, fuck it, you're here, so might as well do it. And it was
happy
divine.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Happy accidents. So tomorrow we continue the journey. So,
awesome, brother. Thank you so much for coming over.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for all the knowledge.
Yeah.
Sorry to the people that was interested in knowing something that I didn't ask. It's just, I'm tired. Sorry. The brain's a little foggy today.
Hey, maybe I'll be back on later.
Hopefully we will, man.
Yeah, man. We'll talk more strength conditioning.
Yes, definitely.
All right.
Thank you again, Peter.
Yep. Peace.
See you tomorrow, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.